Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Wednesday night live stream. I don't usually do my live streams on Monday through Thursday, but due to today's events, I felt like it was appropriate to go live and talk to the people who regularly view this channel. Um, I'm assuming that most of you, if not all of you, have heard the news about the assassination of Turning Point President Charlie Kirk. For those of you who aren't familiar with Charlie Kirk, and I understand that we have international viewers, so not everybody is going to uh, recognize that name, but he was a very influential political commentator and influencer. He spoke on college campuses a lot to garner support for conservative values. And he was a very influential guy, which is probably the reason he was targeted for this assassination. And it's a very sad day. It's very tragic for the nation, not just for people of his ideology. In my lifetime, I've seen several assassinations. JFK in '63, his brother Bobby Kennedy in '68, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. also in '68, and Malcolm X. Governor George Wallace was shot, but he didn't die. He spent the rest of his life in a wheelchair, paralyzed. There was an assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan in 1981. Prior to that, there were two assassination attempts on President Gerald Ford, but they both missed. Um, but Reagan was struck and nearly died. But due to the heroics of the hospital staff, he pulled through. His press secretary, James Brady, was shot in the head. Ronald Reagan's press secretary, James Brady, was shot in the head and spent the rest of his life pretty much as an invalid. And from 1981 until last year, pretty much, we did not have an assassination attempt that I know of on a major political figure. And then today, Charlie Kirk, even though he wasn't a politician, he's a very prominent political figure, and that's why he was shot. Just like Dr. King was not a politician, he was a civil rights worker. Malcolm X was not a politician, uh, but they were still the target of an assassination. So this is the most tragic, this is the biggest assassination of a political figure since the 1960s. And a lot of people, I don't think, realize the importance of this, but it just shows you um, how violent a culture we still have. It shows you how influential certain people can be to where they would draw that kind of attack. And that's a very sobering moment. I don't know why the uh, the venue wasn't more secure than it was, especially after Trump was shot in Pennsylvania outdoors. I have a feeling though that this is going to be the end of outdoor political gatherings. It's so hard to secure the location when it's outdoors. So they're probably going to all be indoors from now on, where people are checked for weapons in order to get into the building. Uh, but yeah, this was outdoors. At first, we heard that it was a an older guy, a baby boomer, that they had taken into custody, and then they said, no, that's the wrong guy. He's been charged with obstruction of justice, but he's not being charged with attempted murder. And so there's last I heard they were still looking for the guy. They've taken somebody else into custody. They think that might be the guy, but I don't know. Details are so sketchy. I always like to wait for all the facts to come in before I make a conclusive statement on the matter. I saw Glenn Beck earlier today ranting about some aging hippie did this. Well, I think that was an inaccurate early report. Glenn Beck probably has to take that back, but um, the last I heard, they took somebody into custody. They think they call him a person of interest, but the investigation is still active. They don't know if there are other people involved in this. So look forward to another week or two of wild speculation, rumors, conspiracy theories, and so forth. Um, I I'm personally, even though I've seen this happen many times in my life, I'm still just sick about it. You can't help but be disturbed at the thought of somebody being shot out in front of the public in broad daylight because of their political views or because of their political impact. I mean, yeah, I think if Charlie Kirk was standing in front of a crowd of 5 or 10 people, I don't think he would have been the target of assassination, but there were thousands of people out there. The man had a huge impact on the last 2 elections. Well, actually, the last 3 elections, apparently, well, I don't want to get into all the 2020 stuff, but I think he was a big factor in Trump getting elected in 2016. The youth vote uh, was much more red than it would have been had it not been for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. So, like I said, I think that's why he was the target of the assassination because he was very influential. 31 years old. I look back to when I was 31 and I think, how much had I accomplished by the time I was 31? What a huge impact he had, and what a tragedy it is that he's taken from his country and his family at that age. So before we go any further into the live stream, I'd like to just lead us in prayer for a moment uh, uh, for healing and comfort for all concerned. Heavenly Father, we thank you that you are the God of all comfort, and we thank you that in this time we can turn to you for strength, for the peace that passes all understanding, and for encouragement that this is not the end of our nation. This is a tragic moment, but that you will help us as a nation to carry on. I pray for the comfort of Charlie Kirk's family and friends uh, as they go through this time of mourning, and for the nation as a whole as we go through a time of mourning. Strengthen us, help us to gather our thoughts, and to not just react, but to seek you, to seek your guidance, to seek your peace in this time. In Jesus' name, Amen. Let's see. I don't see Gabriel, but I see Marcus waiting. So I'm going to bring him in at this time. Can you hear me, Marcus?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good.
This is weird. I'm on a different computer, guys. So I have to make sure that all the speakers and microphones are configured right. Yeah, thanks for hopping on here.
Yeah, I went with a simple setup. I didn't do anything fancy here. So I just got a Yeti mic and a camera and just kind
Good
of,
enough.
yeah. I'm in shock of this whole thing that happened today. I mean, I used to listen to Charlie Kirk every day, and millions of Americans listen to Charlie, and everybody loved Charlie. And it's just kind of, I'm shocked and in a state of numbness, and pray for his wife and his 2 kids. And it's just horrible. It's horrific. The senseless. I'm just I don't know. It's very sad. And then I think that his family and friends are not going to be the only ones mourning this. There's going to be millions of people who love Charlie. They're going to be mourning this for a long time.
So, yeah, the president ordered the flags lowered.
Yeah, I'm glad he did that.
That's how much of a political figure Charlie Kirk was.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Of course, he was friends with Donald Trump too, but this is more than just a random shooting.
Mm-hmm.
This was an attack on freedom of speech.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of fodder for conspiracy theories. I mean, all you have to do is look at the similarities, and you'll see this bears a lot of resemblance to what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. You know, it was a sniper attack from a rooftop. I was just looking at the news before I jumped on. I've seen one article from Gateway Pundit, and they have a video of a guy from a roof from about 200 yards away, and they got him on video once Charlie was shot, just running. I've seen also they had the guy caught, some guy they caught, and I'm looking at the X post, formerly Twitter. This is one from 5:21 p.m. From FBI Director Kash Patel. He says the subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and state authorities in Utah for your partnership. Okay, this was at 5:21, but then we have another update from Kash Patel, and this one is at 6:59 p.m. And it says the subject in custody had been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in the interest of transparency. And I think transparency is going to be the important thing here, and that's what's really going to prevent conspiracy theories. If they don't release information, then people are going to make up their own information. Yeah. You know, that's what happened with. No one knows. I mean, they know the shooter's name as far as Trump, but they don't know anything about him. And so there's a lot of conspiracies that globalists set this up. You know, and you look at the shooter in Vegas that shot from that casino high up into that country music concert. No one knows. There was no motive released. I mean, the whole thing went away, just like the thing in Butler went away. So if this just goes away, people are going to come up with their own conspiracy theories on this thing.
To a certain extent, they can't be transparent as long as the investigation is ongoing.
Right, that's true.
I noticed the media, one TV station was showing looked like a SWAT team moving in on the campus, and they were showing the building that they were going into and everything, and then they cut away and they said, "We're not going to show where these people are anymore because we don't want to give away what the police are doing."
Right.
So they have to be very careful to report without getting in the way.
Yes,
of the investigation and apprehending whoever might be responsible.
Right.
So people just going to have to be patient and allow the information to come out. I remember when Reagan was shot, the initial reports were that Reagan wasn't hit. That a cop was shot and Reagan's press secretary was hit, but that he got away. Well, he did get away in the car, but then they found out that he was shot. And so the initial reports that he wasn't shot were wrong, and he nearly died.
Right.
So you have to be careful. Facts can get really blurry, and it's just like the fog of war. There's a fog of the story when a big story like this happens.
Right.
Some people thought that Trump had died
Right.
when he was
Yeah.
shot.
I think the main thing, the main important thing is not to trust the narrative that whatever media puts out there. Not to trust if anything they say that's fact. And it's really hard to convey information if all your information is coming from the media, because they obviously don't know. I saw the video. I went online to see the video and I found it. And he got hit in the neck, and he got hit in the artery in the neck, and blood just came down his shirt. I mean, then it started really gushing out. It looks like he bled out in a short time, but yet media reports were saying he's in intensive care. And if you look at this, it was very reminiscent to what happened to JFK. You know, when he was shot, it looked similar to that. It looked pretty devastating. So for them to say, you know, he was alive hours after that, he's in intensive care, and then all of a sudden, okay, the official release that he officially passed away, official time, I think he probably died before that. I think it was
probably. I think he was probably DOA.
Yeah, I think it was instantaneous almost, because he had to have bled out, especially if his artery was shot. I think that's what it looked like in the video. And then the way everything gushed out the way it did and went down his shirt, his whole shirt was all messed up.
Yeah, I didn't watch the video. I don't plan on watching it. You know, it doesn't change anything, and it doesn't edify me. But you know, I am interested in what happened, from what angle he was shot,
Right.
and the idea initially was that he was shot from this guy that was up front.
No.
But I don't think that there was any way that guy would have even had that angle.
No, if you look at all the videos that are there's a couple of videos that came up immediately. And then what's amazing to me is how much an impact that X has anymore. I mean, this spread all over the world through X in a matter of seconds. You know, people knew what was going on. And
we didn't see the Zapruder film for 12 years when JFK was assassinated. It wasn't 12 minutes.
Right.
Until people had access to this video.
Right. And it came up from an angle and came down. It didn't come from the crowd up. So it was a sniper shot of some sort, and it was from a rooftop of some sort, and it's very identical to the Butler, Pennsylvania thing. So this is what it looked like anyway. And now they have video of this guy that has been apparently running on the rooftop. They haven't really caught him, but from to my knowledge, he's not caught yet. Hey, Gabriel, how are you?
Oh, I've been better.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And these days, there's cameras everywhere.
Everywhere.
So there's
plus
no
cell phones.
Way there was no way whoever did this was going to evade detection. Now they obviously evaded detection long enough to get shot off.
Right.
But all they got to do is go through and look at the videos, and they're going to have, you know, an idea of not only what the person looked like, but how they came in and how they tried to get away if they did. You know, look at Jussie Smollett. You know, they got all the camera shots and put that whole scenario together, and then they confronted the guy and said, no, that's not the way it happened. You can recreate any crime scene now by gathering video, unless you're out in the woods somewhere.
Right.
You know, you're not going to get away from some sort of monitoring from whoever.
Right. And also I would say that if the guy was in the crowd and he was shooting from the crowd, from the audience, I don't think he would have gotten away. People would have spotted the guy with the gun and they would have tackled him. He wouldn't have been able to escape. And now they have this video that I've just looked at of a sniper or somebody on the roof ducking, hiding, and running and getting off the roof. So from about 200 yards out. And the guy in Butler was 150 yards out.
Yeah, that was a really not easy shot.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other point. This is what I mean by food for conspiracy theory.
It absolutely is. And honestly, even if they catch the guy, you're not going to convince me that it was the actual person that did it. I mean,
Right.
you got Oswald, you got Jack. What was the name of the guy that shot Oswald?
Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so we don't know what happened to the guy that attempted on President Trump in the golf course. We don't know anything about the kid in Butler. So
right. All that stuff's whitewashed from the media.
So, that guy got shot. This guy didn't. He got away, at least temporarily.
Right.
Well, supposedly, I read just a few minutes ago that Kash Patel said they have they have him or they have somebody in custody. But then 2 hours ago, the governor or the chief of police, one of the higher ups in the state of Utah, was saying that they intend to go for the death penalty.
Yep.
They have the death penalty in the state of Utah.
So, I read that.
We'll see.
Well, let's see.
You're exactly right, Brandon. And that was exactly what Razorfist was saying just a few minutes ago. He was very much middle of the road, very milquetoast, very moderate. He wasn't a Nick Fuentes.
Right.
You know, he wasn't an extreme Zionist like Ben Shapiro.
No, nothing like that.
So he was, pro-Israel. He wasn't. He had his disagreements with Netanyahu and the Israeli government. So all you're going to do is continue pushing people to the extremes. That's all that's going to happen.
Well, right. And that, you're going to have questions about motive as well. I don't think he was shot for the things he was saying. I think he was shot for the things he was doing. Turning Point USA was a very big grassroots movement that registered tons of young people to vote Republican.
Yep.
And
changed a lot of minds.
It changed a lot of minds, debated with a lot of people, gave them the other side of the story that young people were not getting in universities.
Yep.
So it's not so much what he said as what his organization was doing, how they were getting people out to vote. So, who knows what the motivation could be in this, it's hard to say, really.
Well, what I was telling Rod when he called me this afternoon to talk about hopping on tonight, he picked up where Steven Crowder started. And Steven Crowder started the whole change my mind. He became an internet meme, and people don't. It's right. Crazy. We're almost 10 years past when that happened. And most people don't even connect the dots. He started doing the change my mind in the public because they started banning conservatives from coming to colleges.
Right.
EPUSA would host conservative Republican speakers like Ben Shapiro, like Michael Knowles, like Dinesh D'Souza, and they would host them at the college until the college started banning them and making up all these reasons why they couldn't have them. So Stephen was like, well, bump it. If these are public, these are state universities, that's public funds. You can speak on the campus and they can't tell you to leave as long as you're not disturbing the peace, as long as you're not breaking the law. And that was the whole thing with the change my mind. And Kirk picked up on that and took it to the next level. Mostly because Crowder stopped. He had other things going on. But I mean, Charlie just really, it was him, then it was him and Candace Owens. And he was a big part of why Trump got elected both times.
Oh, yeah.
If you ask my personal opinion, I think this was.
I remember.
Go ahead.
Ben Shapiro, there was a video of Ben Shapiro trying to get into a university that had invited him to speak. And because of the protest, they canceled the event right as he was about to enter.
Well, they had death threats. They had bomb threats.
Have you seen that video where they stopped him and he said, "So if I try to go in right now, I'm going to be
you'll arrest me."
I've seen that.
They said yes, and he said, "Okay, well, I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to make sure I understood." It seems like that's a lot of law enforcement to come out here and arrest a 5'8" Jewish political company. Anyway, so he turns around to everybody and says, "All right, let's go down to some other building." And so the crowd, I mean, he still had an event, but it just wasn't at the college. He had another backup location in case they canceled on him. So I'm guessing this was about the same time that Steven Crowder and then Charlie Kirk started doing these events outdoors.
Well, yeah, well, Crowder started it. He was the first one that took it, to the street, and that's all he did. He had him, one or two tech guys, and a table with the sign that said "Change my mind," and it would be. I think he started on abortion, then it was gun rights, just simple things, and just sit down and let's have a discussion. And eventually, he had to start having security because people were acting up, and they don't know how to have a civil conversation. But that's kind of the aggravating thing. I'm like, man, where is this on the other side? Like, where do you see leftists having a conversation where, somebody on the right can't sit down and have a civil, and just a disagreement in the debate? You don't
they'll be the first yelling free speech when their side is not heard.
Yeah.
So it's free speech for some, but not for all.
No, it's what works for me and not for thee. Rules for me and not for thee. Yeah, you're exactly right, Brandon the Zealot. Yeah, they did a couple things. There was a couple plots with. I mean, that was like when they put Jared in a group of Antifa, and they had to call the cops and the FBI, and they didn't do anything.
Right.
Here's this guy's like, dude, they're giving me knives and shotguns. He's like, this is getting like, I can't keep on with this. The undercover thing didn't even last a day before they were calling the cops because of all the craziness, and nobody got arrested. Nothing came of it. It was just like, oh, these silly kids. Yeah. But if you ask me, this was the Italian, because of what they missed in Butler, and they're like, you know what? You're going to catch that bullet that we missed with. This was the message, plain and simple. Plain and simple. They did it. They executed it, and pun intended, the exact same way. And I don't mean to be cruel because I'm incensed.
Yeah, I am too. And it's too similar to not make those observations, that it's just like the Butler thing. A little bit more low key, to where he was able to get in a little bit better. There wasn't the security that was in Butler. And how much of the Secret Service had to look the other way for that guy to get to where he was in Butler.
It's exactly what I told Rod. He had the Secret Service, the state police, the local police, and everybody just went.
It was the local police that first spotted him, though.
Yeah, and they stand down.
Yeah, and they tried to get up there on the ladder and saw him with a gun. And then no one had the same radios. Apparently, what happened is that the people who were local had a different radio frequency than the people who were with the Secret Service. And so they couldn't call the Secret Service and tell them there was somebody on the roof. The whole thing was a mess. And I'm sure that Trump has got to be looking at this and flashing back to Butler, Pennsylvania, and remembering what happened there. And that's probably part of his mourning, not just Charlie, but, this hits home pretty well.
Well, this is what I told Rod is now what happens to free speech, because if you can't even be in public to have any kind of discourse, the colleges won't have you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is why he was doing it outside at the colleges, because there's it's the whole thing that Ben Stein did with no intelligence allowed.
Right.
They will not have an opposing view. They will not have an opposing point of view. They will not hear opposite opinions. They will ignore facts. They will distort or ignore history. They'll burn books. Right. They'll trash them. So if somebody with the opposing view is going to catch a bullet for just saying, hey, I disagree.
Right.
How do you have a discourse like that? You can't. And then you have all these fake blankety blank Democrats out here saying, oh, this isn't the way, and this should never happen, when they've been fomenting this violence for the last 8 years.
Well, what did Gavin Newsom say just a month ago? I just want to
man.
punch him in the mouth. Isn't that his words?
No, we'll make. I want to just say his name.
What about Maxine Walters and all the things she says as far as confronting conservatives? And I mean, these guys are stoking the fire. But this is how you know, because these universities, they don't want public discourse or an exchange of ideas. This is how you know you're paying for an indoctrination and not an education.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem.
Universities are dying.
They're dying because people are indoctrinated. They're not educated.
Well,
they're given a false sense of how the world really works. So
it's also the fact that people don't have to go to university or college anymore and get a degree
right.
to make a good living. I mean, when I was a kid, if you wanted a good job, you had to get an education.
Right.
But these days, with tech and trade schools, there's so many ways of earning a good living without spending $100,000 or more to go to a university. And they, it's a nice racket. They had and Charlie Kirk talked about this a lot. He
Yes.
called college a scam. It's not a necessity anymore like it was 50 years ago. And so hopefully the impact on university students is not going to be as profound in the future as it has been in the past, because there's going to be other venues to speak, to reach young people. But for the time being, it is still a factor. And what I'm hoping is, I don't think that they're going to be doing political events outdoors anymore, because it's hard to offer adequate security. But if they won't allow you to have the event indoors at the college campuses, then that means you're going to have to go somewhere off campus in order to have these events. And this is where young people tend to, especially young people who care about what's going on in the world, care about an education, care about politics and international events. That's the ideal location. So what we're going to have to do, I think, is probably just have events indoors where the speaker is broadcast into the facility. If they can't walk in there and stand on a platform, maybe they can just do the broadcast live from a remote location, and then have people gather there and do, ask questions. I mean, you can do so much online these days. You don't have to have the speaker there. I don't know. I hate to see whoever did this succeed in, stopping freedom of speech and stopping people like Charlie Kirk.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think, because I'll tell you why that's not going to happen. They made a martyr out of him.
Yes.
That was the worst thing they could have done, is make a martyr out of him. He got killed and murdered for his beliefs. And part of that martyrdom was Christianity.
Yes.
So, it wasn't just his political views, it was his Christian views as well. And I don't think this is the end of Turning Point. I don't think this is the end of this movement. It's not, let's cut the head off the snake. It's not that at all. They have really, I think, enraged, kind of like a Pearl Harbor event almost, where that led into World War II. Because this is not just a physical thing. This is spiritual warfare too. So this is one of those things that there's a response coming. It's not going to go away. If they think they've silenced anybody, they've not, because you've given us a platform now. There's a lot of what Charlie Kirk says that we identify with, and you've given everybody a platform. You haven't silenced us.
Yeah.
So it was a failed attempt.
Who's going to take over at Turning Point now? Who has the communication skills, the charisma that he had? He's a hard guy to replace.
There is no replacing him. You don't replace him.
Right. You don't. But God can raise somebody else up. This is not just like I say, a politics thing. It's also a ministry thing. God will raise people up. God raises up kings, and God tears down kings.
Yep.
And Charlie Kirk is one of those guys that's very hard to replace. But this hasn't caught God off guard. So, we're heartbroken, we're sad, but it's not over. It's not the end. Really, it's not.
Let me just address a couple of people here in the chat room. I see that John Mark Baker is here from the what's that? The Minor Prophets is the name of his channel.
It's such a great channel
good to see
name.
you here. Let's see, Kimball, Sean Trim, Mama Shaw, Unifield, Flame. Good to see you guys. I appreciate you coming out and spending this time with us. Mary Cozier. Let's see, a couple of Canadian brothers, Brother John Elving and Dwayne Green. I saw them in here earlier. I don't know if they're still here or not, but I just want to acknowledge Brandon the Zealot also. Thanks for coming out, guys, and spending this time with us. I didn't have any notes. I didn't have any plans, really. I just felt like we needed to be online and provide some sort of reflection on the day's events. This kind of thing doesn't happen very often. Like I said, this is the biggest political assassination in this country since the 60s.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Gabriel's being very restrained. I appreciate
that. I was fit to be tied earlier.
Yeah,
I was fit to be tied. And I'm still very, very angry. And this is, as my mother texted me, and my mother's a saint. She's an incredible woman of God. And I told her, I said, I didn't reach out to you because I didn't have the words and I didn't want to start a dialogue. But I told her, I was like, this is what I was telling my sis. I'm actually going to interview Mama Shaw. I interviewed her a while ago, and she was also interviewed on the Goslings. She came out of witchcraft, and she's got an incredible testimony, some incredible things the Lord's been doing in her life, and she's been ministering to people on TikTok. And she's got an incredible testimony, spiritual warfare, but to only address the spiritual and not address the physical, I think, has been the fault of the modern American church and the Western church, because I don't believe we're going to pray this away. Mm-mm. And I can tell you this because history, once again, if you don't learn from it, you're doomed to repeat it. And this is what I was telling Rod on the phone earlier today, and this is what I told my sis in the comments. The Byzantine Empire and the Catholic Church did not push Islam back to the Middle East with nice words and prayer. They had to do it with the sword. Mm-hmm. And Jesus told us to sell our cloaks and get a sword. I don't know what to do with that, because my whole life in church, we've been taught no violence, pacifism, and I honestly am starting to think it's the devil, because look, the lunatics are running the asylum. The crazy people are running this place. And all the holy people, all the righteous people are just hiding in church and just praying that it all goes away, and they don't want to get involved in the political process. Meanwhile, look at the founding fathers that built this place. It was the Pilgrims, it was the Puritans that built this place. I don't know what to do. These are the things I've been wrestling with since COVID, since I got my concealed carry. And that attack of that young Ukrainian lady, that happened here in the city that I live in.
Yeah.
I was just at an event last night where the mayor and the chief of police was there. And I'm like, this is messed up, man. And you watched that video. Did anybody do, after the guy leaves the bus? They don't stop him. They don't prevent him from the attack. They don't stop him after he does the attack. And after he walks off the bus, they don't even do anything. This is and I don't see the church being much different. The church is just, they're doing, I don't see anything, I don't hear anything, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I don't want to offend anybody. And that ain't the gospel. And that's what happened to this young man, because he was out there boldly proclaiming the faith, taking on the arguments, addressing it. He was occupying until the Lord arrives. So, I mean, if you're going to call him a martyr for everything he was doing, not just the one thing. And I'm looking at myself and I'm like, man, I'm missing the boat. Am I a coward? Because all I do is minister at church and I share my testimony when I go out there and perform. Is there more that I could be doing? I'm asking myself some hard questions, y'all, and I think we all need to, because we've been hiding in the shadows and just playing church and watching this whole kingdom burn down like Lot. Lot was just minding his business, living in Sodom and just not correcting anybody. And take my daughters. Don't I'm not trying to disturb anybody. I'm not trying to mess with anybody. Now let me look at people roasting me in the comments. So y'all can tell me to shut up because I'm trying not to rile myself up.
Well, there's a balance that you need to strike. I mean, I remember when Charlie Kirk, after the 2020 election, people were talking to him while he was on his show for Turning Point. And he had live shows, and somebody said, because people were really upset. They felt like the election had been stolen. And I don't want to get off into a discussion on that, but because of that, they were upset. And one guy said, I'm ready to go to war. If they're not going to give us, the right to vote, then, we're going to have to take up arms. And I remember Charlie Kirk saying, "Oh, shut up." He said, most of you people out there, if somebody shot at you, you turn tail and run. He said that we need to make the system that we have work. Okay. Yes, there are some things that need to be fixed. And he believed that the election was stolen, but he didn't believe in responding with violence. He felt like we've got to use the system, correct the system, but not turn to violence and grab our guns and go out there and shoot our political opponents. That's not the answer. Let's make the system work. And that's what people did. They rolled up their sleeves. They looked for any loopholes or anything that could allow for voter fraud in the future. And so anyway, I hear you. We need to respond, but at the same time, you're not going to fix the problem with nothing but prayers and the spiritual, but you're not going to fix it with nothing but guns and the natural either. Jesus talked about grabbing a sword, but he also talked about prayer. So
well, yeah, and I agree,
whole,
but we've been doing a whole lot of praying and nothing else. Nothing else. Not involved in political process, not involved in I mean, how many believers are law enforcement? How many believers are in local government? How many believers are judges? How many believers are lawyers? That's I mean, I'm not talking revolution and go out there. No, that is nonsense. I mean, mindless violence is not going to solve anything. However, ignoring the problem and just praying is also not going to solve anything.
And now we're getting into the whole dispensational post-millennial debate about, are we here to occupy until the Lord comes? Oops. I accidentally knocked you off, Gabriel. Sorry about that.
You're okay.
I got excited and I hit my mouse. Are we going to go out there and, like you said, get Christian politicians, Christian business leaders, Christian media personalities, or are we going to just sit back and wait for the rapture and wait for Jesus to bail us out? This has been the conflict on these two views for years. I remember Brother Hagin said that when he got saved back in 1933, and then he got healed, he got into the ministry, and he wanted to go to seminary. And people said, "Don't go to seminary. Jesus is coming back any day. You don't have 4 years to go to seminary and get an education. Just get out there and preach the gospel. We don't have time. Jesus is coming back any day." That was in the 1930s, And I think he always regretted that he didn't get a seminary education. He studied as much as he could to educate himself, but he had to bypass that because he got married, started a family, but that was the way a lot of people operated. For many years, people said, "Don't get involved in the world of politics. Don't go to seminary. Just get out there and preach the gospel. We don't have time. Jesus is coming back any day," which is this whole, Rosh Hashanah thing that I've been talking about. It's so important for people not to get caught up in that foolishness we got work to do. And when you hear people talk about dominion theology and the seven mountain mandate and everything, all right, there may be some people who take it to extremes, but what's wrong with what D. James Kennedy said about go to school, get an education, enter the business world, become a judge, become a lawyer, become a politician, become a media influencer, go out there and impact culture for the kingdom of God. Don't just stay around waiting for Jesus.
It seems we're only interested in celebrity, so actor, music, singer, maybe sports figure, and that's it, as if that's the only place to have an influence. But that's just, but that's because we haven't discipled and taught our children that these are viable and respectable and necessary places that Christians should be occupying. I mean, think about it, man. Like, would we have a bunch of these numbskulls running around if we had honest, good, God-fearing Christian judges on the bench that wouldn't let a felon that's, physically violently assaulted 14 people and be like, nah, I'm going to let you go out, walk on the street with no bail? I don't think so.
We also need Christian people in education so that these college campuses will have somebody with an alternate perspective.
Well, the communists, they're slick, so we got the gentle as doves part down, but we don't have the wise as serpents. That's what they started doing in the 60s. They got the colleges on lock.
Right.
They got them.
Even if you have Christian teachers, they're limited in what they can say and what they can do. So
good luck trying to get tenure.
The whole system is toast.
Marcus wrote about this in his book.
I absolutely did, and how it became corrupted, and what happened to it, and why it is in the condition it's in today.
Universities got bought.
They got bought by in the golden age or the gilded age. I mean, they got bought way back then. Through Rockefeller Foundations, Carnegie Foundation. They had the funds that pushed evolution into the school system. And what you're seeing is a direct result of evolution. And when you teach people they're nothing but an animal, and then you act surprised when they behave like an animal, whose fault is that? I mean, it's one of these things where there's no simple fix. You can't say, well, let's just get involved here or go over there. And the Bible says specifically also, especially regarding the day that we live in, he that kills with the sword, who kills with the sword will be killed with the sword. Revelation chapter 13. And right after that, the scripture says, here is the patience of the saints. So their vigilantism is not the thing to do either. So there has to be, whatever has to happen, has to be led by the Holy Spirit. What we need more than anything else is the Holy Spirit to move.
Yes.
Not just prayer. You're right. Not just prayer. Just empty words don't do anything. We need a move of God. That's how this is fixed. Without a move of God, we're toast.
I think that's a big part of it. Oh, go ahead if you want to address this comment.
Yeah, it says, should we learn more about the suspect before blaming every Democrat? Well, first of all, I haven't heard anybody do that.
No.
Nobody has.
Yeah, I have no idea, but it's hard to imagine a Republican.
Listen, Razor Fist was talking about this. These people register as Republicans right before the election. This kid probably did that right before. I don't buy it for a second.
Right.
I don't buy it for 1 second. Like they literally they push this out to their people as a strategy.
Right.
To go out, register as Republicans, cause all sorts of nonsense. That way, when you get arrested, the news media can talk about it. They are registered Republican. There was dozens of people that did this. They registered for what was the girl that was going to run up against Trump for a little bit there in the last election? Haley.
Oh, Kamala Harris?
No. She's a Republican. She's a lady.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
She made a run for like 3 weeks, and it didn't go anywhere.
I'd never even heard of that.
Yeah.
You talked about a woman running against Trump. I thought you were talking
She
about.
was in Trump's cabinet at one point.
Yeah. I mean, like she didn't go full on into launching a campaign, but it was very much. It was kind of like DeSantis starting to chum the water, test the water, and it got shut down real quick.
Well,
Nikki Haley, I think it was Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley, that's what it was. Yeah. Now, in the state of Oklahoma, you can't vote in the primary for your party unless you're registered to that party. In other words, because I'm a registered Republican, I can't vote in the Democratic primary. So what a lot of people do is they will switch their registration in order to vote who they want to win in the primary. So a lot of Democrats will switch to Republicans, and then they will vote in the primary in a Republican race who they think will lose and pull the Republicans down. And the Republicans do the same thing to the Democrats. So you can't really go by voter registration, how people are registered to vote, because they flip-flop that stuff all the time.
Yep.
Especially depending on the state laws. But this is not a Democrat versus Republican issue. And like I said, I don't think this is just limited to the
This
views.
is good versus evil. This is good versus evil.
This is a spiritual plane here, yes.
If you agree that somebody should be able to speak with the dissenting opinion, then you're on the side of good, because God gave that man a tongue to speak. And if you shut him up with a bullet, you're the problem. You're absolutely the problem. The funny thing is, this is why the right and Republicans are and they're completely dominating on all social media, because they're just taking everything the left said and they're squashing it. I mean, like, that's if that was not the truth, you wouldn't have Ben Shapiro, you wouldn't have Charlie Kirk, you wouldn't have Michael Knowles, you wouldn't have Turning Point USA, you wouldn't have the Daily Wire, you wouldn't have Steven Crowder. I mean, I could go on and on. Gavin McInnes, you wouldn't have Razor Fist, you wouldn't have
Candace Owens,
Owens, you wouldn't have Andrew Cleveland, you wouldn't have Andrew Wilson, you wouldn't have the Whatever podcast, you wouldn't have
Megyn Kelly,
Andrew Tate. I mean, all these people that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
they're crushing the left.
And they're doing it by just taking everything they've said and picking it apart. And you've got guys like Chunk Uygur, who all they do is, woo, 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 woo. And, if it wasn't for all that Qatari Muslim money that he got, the guy would no, you wouldn't even know he's existed.
Right.
I mean, the only reason Piers Morgan brings him on is because he's an absolute fool and he's good for ratings, because people love watching a clown.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. But I will say, there was one thing, Marcus, that you said, I agree. We don't necessarily need vigilantism, but we do need men to stand up and defend. And why aren't men not defending? Look what happened to Daniel Penny. Guys acting crazy, attacking people on a subway in New York. And the guy says, no, you're not. It puts him in a chokehold. And this guy's instantly a racist, instantly a bigot, instantly the world's worst thing. So people are like, I ain't doing nothing. I'm just going to mind my business. Somebody can get killed right in front of me.
In Charlotte, where you were, that event that happened to that poor girl, it's probably what's behind a little bit of people not doing anything. Not to say whether or not they could take him down, but what kind of law enforcement would go after them? After this guy has been released 14 times.
Because we have a Democratic mayor, we have a Democrat, a Democrat, a chief of police. Right. I mean, like, there are Democrats on the city council in Charlotte that were like saying that this, we need to be sensitive to this guy and all this stuff, and not like calling to like hang him from the tallest building in the town. I mean, like, so that, to me, that was my question. I'm like, hey, where are all you Ukrainian flag people that, the Ukrainian war started? You change your profile picture, Ukrainian flag. Where are you at? I ain't heard one of you guys sound off.
Not one.
Crickets. Crickets.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Hold up. I got it right there. There's your crickets. Oh, I don't know if that came through. Did it come through? Did you guys hear it?
I didn't hear it.
I didn't hear it. No, I didn't hear crickets.
Oh.
I'm going to turn that up a little bit.
I don't know why it's not coming through. That's I had to reinstall a new computer, so all my stuff's messed up. That's why we had the echo. That's why
we need an audio engineer.
Yeah, we're going to find one of those. We're going to find one of those.
Yeah, I barely got this set up in time just to hop on today. So
because both of you guys do audio engineering.
Right.
Yeah.
Little joke there. Not me. I'm all thumbs when it comes to a soundboard. Let's see. There was something. Chunk yogurt.
Chunk yogurt.
That's for those of you who don't know, that's the loudmouth guy from the Young Turks.
Yeah.
Very popular left wing channel.
Yeah, I mean,
Although-
like, dude, his co-host is basically like not even I mean, she says, "Well, I'm still liberal." Like, no, you're not. And the funny thing is, when
she's a moderate now, but she started off right.
oh,
there
it's
with
super liberal, but they're seeing they're grifting. Like Chunk has now become a populist, and now he's walking back like about 65-70% of stuff he said, because he's like, there's no money in it. There's no money in flaming and in being like, people have their tolerance has gone from, you know, this to we're at like chest level. People are losing their tolerance for this fomenting nonsense, garbage, tomfoolery.
Now, Anna Kasparian started moving to the right
after she was
got
attacked.
mugged.
Yep, after she was attacked.
And,
Yep.
And she said, perhaps I miscalculated.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the old saying, you know, a liberal is a conservative that hasn't been mugged yet.
Yeah.
Definition of a liberal.
Lord.
Let's see. Is anybody monitoring the news here? Do we have any developments as far as?
Let me look. I was watching it before I got on.
Okay. I was kind of.
President Trump has delivered an address on this. Looks like.
Did he?
Yeah, there's a picture of him in the Oval Office. Greg Gutfeld goes nuclear on live TV after Charlie Kirk assassination. Drops F-bomb on Fox. You woke us up. You woke us the F up. So let's see. Megyn Kelly and Glenn Beck are talking, and Megyn Kelly's in tears. This is tragic. This is really tragic. It's horrible. MSNBC issues an apology for earlier comments.
Oh, for saying that he was shot by somebody just celebrating the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that his family's gonna sue them. They're gonna get so much money. That's why they did it, but it's not gonna be enough. It's not gonna be enough.
They're gonna sense. Who shoots a gun off?
Was pure hatred and vitriol, and they're gonna sue the pants off, and I hope they end up shuttering their doors.
They do that in Iraq. They shoot guns when they're celebrating. But people in the United States don't. This isn't 1850.
No.
I mean that was.
It's not New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Oh, bang. No.
Yeah. Infuriating Democrats shut down Republican Lauren Boebert on the House floor when she requests a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk. Well, isn't that interesting? Let's see what else we got. Okay, Utah governor confirms political assassination of Charlie Kirk, says, we still have the death penalty here in Utah, and we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law. They're going to go after this guy. And then they need to.
Well,
oh yeah. Any Christians in the comments against the death penalty? I want to hear your explanation for that.
Mm-hmm. When was the last time that a political assassin was executed in this country? Oswald
never was shot,
but he wasn't executed by the state. He was murdered.
No, not by,
he was murdered.
State. James Earl Ray was not executed, was he?
Right. No.
I don't.
No, they all died in prison.
Sirhan died in prison. Of course, that was in California. They don't have capital punishment. And like Malcolm X or even the assassination attempt on Reagan, John Hinckley, wasn't. I think you should be executed just for an attempt, even if it's not successful. I think you should be executed. But
because you're attacking free speech, that's the First Amendment.
Was Hinckley? Was he released? He was in the news a while back.
Yeah, he was released I think a few months ago, a while back.
Well, he wasn't in jail. He was in a psych ward.
Right, he was in a psych ward.
Yeah, because he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. So he never went to prison. He was just committed.
Just the explanation that he did what he did for Jodie Foster was just they said he was insane. So
so
he
the
didn't have a
person
shot with her he didn't have a shot with her anyway.
No.
Hey, so by the way, the person that was arrested was released. It was not the shooter. They have a manhunt.
Right.
Some law enforcement analyst on CNN's basically saying like they're gonna have a hard time finding this guy. And I'll tell you, like I said when I first came on, I don't think they're gonna find this guy because I think this guy was either CIA or FBI. They're not gonna find him, and if they do find him, it ain't gonna be the actual person that shot him.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen, whoever the shooter is, if this is going to be swept under the rug like other incidences. This is what's going to contribute to the conspiracy theory. If we don't know anything about the shooter, then people will think this is government sanctioned. They'll make up their own narrative because that's what they do. I mean, what do we know about the shooter in Butler, Pennsylvania?
Nothing.
What do we know about the shooter? I said this earlier in Las Vegas during the country music concert, and he shot in the crowd. I'll tell you something we do know though. There's a guy that was high up in the police force there, and he wound up being in Honolulu when Honolulu had those fires in Hawaii. Was it in Honolulu?
Maui.
Maui, yeah. So he was there. He was part of the people that blocked people from leaving. So the same guy that was involved in the Vegas shooting in law enforcement is all of a sudden involved in the law enforcement in Hawaii. How many conspiracy theories can you make out of that? Probably a lot. So, I don't know. People are going to make up their own narrative. I've been sick about this all day long. Ever since this happened, I've just had this sick feeling in my gut. And the more pictures I see of Charlie Kirk and his wife and his family, the sicker I get. I'm just so heartbroken for his wife and his kids.
Me too. That's exactly what I told what I told my wife is it's very difficult for a middle-aged man with a family to look at this, and I'll tell you, man, I don't think Rod, you said you didn't see the video, right? You didn't.
Right. And I don't.
I did, and don't. Did you see it? Yeah, unfortunately did. Did you watch the close-up one?
I watched the close-up one and I slowed it down. I wanted to see exactly what happened because I didn't want to take any kind of media narrative because the news networks lie.
Yes, they
do. There's no way after watching that video that you can tell me he went to the hospital and he was alive and he was in critical condition and he was dead before he got there. There's no way if you watch that video and you look at that.
He was dead before he hit the floor.
He was dead, yeah. It was a JFK moment.
That's why I'm telling you. That's what they planned for Trump.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what
that was the only of his that was the only one of his rallies that they televised. Mm-hmm. Why? Mm-hmm. Well, they knew what was coming.
That's not the only rally they televised. They've televised other rallies, but that was one where they really had it set up in different camera angles and had different viewpoints. I mean,
that was the only one that CNN. I know Fox did televised the other ones, but I think that's the only one that the MSNBC or CNN the left hadn't televised any of the other ones.
Well, they had the setup. They just didn't put it on TV. So as whether or not they'd put this on television or not, I don't know. They all share the same news or camera feeds.
Yeah.
So they all get the same stuff, and you'll see their logo in the bottom right hand corner or left hand corner. So it's a joint effort, I think, on all the media. So, but I'm just heartbroken.
You guys are talking about stuff I don't know anything about, so I'm gonna let you just discuss.
You gotta swim. Come swim in the conspiracy waters, my
friend. Yes. Okay, Argentina's president, Javier. I can't pronounce his name. Do you know, Rod? Javier Milei or
what would be Javier?
Javier Miley?
Mama Shaw's got she has a good point, and this was my question, Mama Shaw, because when I saw that they had the guy, I thought it was somebody that right in front of him that had pulled the gun.
Yeah.
But it was somebody. This is why I'm making the comparison with Trump and Butler. It was somebody on a building, and they do have him on camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
I was just looking at that.
Fast. He got out. He shot. Everybody scattered and ran, and by the time they turned around, he was gone.
Yeah, I was just looking at video of a guy on a roof where the shooting with Charlie Cook took place.
Yep, I saw it too.
200 yards out, he's on some kind of. He wasn't in the crowd, according to this. And then the news headline says footage shows individual running across roof or loses center momentum. Or loses center moments after Charlie Kirk's assassination. So you see, there's a shot of him up, then there's a shot of him down on the roof, lying flat. Then another shot of him running. So somebody videotaped this guy up on a roof, and it had to be a sniper shot of some sort, just because of the way it happened. If this was done in a crowd, they would have caught this guy. Somebody would have tackled this guy.
Yep.
If there's somebody in a gun in the crowd, somebody's going to come up from behind him and tackle him because he's a threat to everybody around him.
Yep.
So people are going to defend themselves. So I don't think this was something that took place in the crowd. I just don't think that's the case. So anyway, this Argentina president responds to Charlie Kirk assassination, and there's a picture of him with Charlie Kirk, and he says the left is always, at all times and everywhere, a violent phenomenon full of hatred. So this is Argentina.
This is Mr. Chainsaw. This is afuera, right?
Mm-hmm.
Afuera.
Yeah.
Department of Nonsense, afuera. Department of Education, afuera.
Mm-hmm.
Afuera means get out of here.
I like that. El presidente afuera. That's what I would call him.
Mm-hmm.
He's turned that country around, though.
He sure has.
Him and is it the El Salvadorian president who put all the where's the guy that put all the gangs in jail?
That's El Salvador. Yeah, that's El Salvador.
Isn't that where we're sending some of our illegal criminals, we're illegal people that have crossed the border?
Yeah. Some of them are going to Africa. Some of them are.
That I ain't gonna lie, that was funny. That made me laugh. That was like, oh, you don't want to go to Crocodile Island? Okay, we'll send you to Africa.
Yeah. So the guy in El Salvador, they sent that one guy down there that the left just kind of fell in love with, that was involved in human trafficking and other things.
I think that's the first laugh I've had. That's the first laugh I've had since this poor man was shot.
Mm-hmm.
Lord. Yeah. I went by to pick up some stuff from my doctor's office, and the administrator is a priest. He's the Orthodox priest that I met a couple years ago that I've become friends with. And I texted him before I went over there. I was like, brother, Charlie Kirk was just shot. You got to call all your people to pray because he's a bishop in the church, in his church. And I was like, man, we got to pray. And he was working. I was like, bro, you didn't hear? It's like, man, I just saw your text. I've been working all day. I was like, brother, it's bad. It's bad. I just watched the video, and I was like, man. We prayed right there in the doctor's office. I mean, it's just, and that's the. I don't know, man. I'm losing my tolerance for the let's just pray about it, and the guy gets caught, and let's just put him in jail and lock away the key. I'm like, so we the taxpayers should have to pay for this guy to sit in jail the rest of his life? That's fair. I got to pay for this, and you got to pay for this guy to sit around, I mean, like, there's no such thing as imprisonment. So this is what I wish people would understand. And it's funny, when this was pointed out to me, I was shocked because I haven't been studying scripture my whole life, but this is something that I think it was Dr. Miles Monroe, because everything with him was kingdom. Everything was kingdom. And he's like, we're so programmed in our Western minds to think with a Western mind. We think some of these things are civil and some of these things are fair, but how does God see these things? And look at how he instituted. Israel was supposed to be a model of how he sees it, right?
Right.
And the funny thing is, like, it's everlasting destruction. I mean, it's like there's a lake of fire. And the only reason you're not going to be obliterated is, because even the Bible says he could obliterate you if he wanted to. He just chooses not to.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, thank God for mercy and grace.
Oh, amen. Because I'm not saying like none of us deserve His grace or to be written in the Lamb's Book of Life, but
Mhm.
in the Jewish judicial disciplinary system, it was restitution or death.
Mhm.
You pay somebody back, or if the crime that you committed was heinous enough, you paid with your life.
Mhm.
That's it.
Right.
So you're not going to be a burden on the state. You're not going to be a burden on your neighbor. There's that wasn't an option. That wasn't a thing.
Well, there's still a reaping and sowing element. Just because of mercy and grace doesn't take away the harvest that you've reaped.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that was the
It's just
thing in the Roman Church and in the early Western empires. They gave you a chance. I mean, that's why we still have this in our judicial system today. Would you like a priest before we execute you? Do you want to have one last chance for absolution? Because we believe even at then the Lord can forgive you and is willing to forgive you.
Yeah.
However, you still have to pay.
Right. There's a reaping and sowing. Crime is. This is why in Romans chapter 13 says to obey those that have the rule over you. It's talking about government.
And because the Lord institutes them.
The Lord institutes them. Yeah, absolutely. He does.
What are we looking at, Rod?
This is
Is there any way to zoom in?
Well, kinda.
USA Today.
There you go. That's perfect. I can see that pretty clear.
Okay. This just shows you where he was at the time. I don't know. It says Environmental Technology Building, Browning Administration Building Office. I think. Can you see my cursor on here?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, that is where the shooter was. From there,
I think the roof right here is where the shooter was. It's not in the diagram here. Let's see if there's. Okay, that's.
If you go look, though, you go back up to that. The video that I seen where the guy was on the roof moments after he was shot. He was on that gray portion that your cursor was. He was right up in there.
Right up, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a video on Gateway Pundit that has a guy up there right after Charlie Kirk was shot. And people took, I guess, video with their cell phones or something. So that's might be where the shot came from. We don't know, but it might be.
Yeah, the initial reports were, some old guy.
Well, hold that back up. It says it was the Lucy Center, LOSEE. Do you see that on there?
I don't see a Lucy Center.
Hold up, I'm gonna see if I can find it and point it to you.
Yeah. Send me the link, and I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. But what I was going to say was the initial reports were that it was that old guy in front, and they thought it was just an aging hippie. And Glenn Beck was going on about these crazy old left-wing baby boomers. I'm a baby boomer, I'm not left-wing. But anyway, I thought, come on, if that was the guy that did it, you wouldn't even be able to see him. There'd be so many people piled onto him, you wouldn't be able to see him that clearly. Right. But this is a guy who's just kind of kneeling on the ground and a couple of people standing by him. Didn't look like, a suspect being apprehended to me.
Right.
Yeah, it's in the private chat. You got to go to this page and then scroll down. And you'll see the courtyard, and you'll see, it was a 200-yard shot.
Yeah, about 200 yards. That's about right.
Listen, man.
Okay.
That's no joke, man.
All right, so we want to do here.
I agree with you completely, JD's Variety. 100%. And I'll tell you why. I was very upset. I was at our congregation. I serve on staff at my church, and I didn't bring this up because I didn't want to get angry. But my uncle was murdered. I'll never forget the day when one of my other uncles came to our house to tell the news to the family, and that joker's still sitting in jail. And actually now, trying to get out of, he actually recently filed an appeal and is trying to get out after it's incontrovertible. They had all the proof. They had witnesses. I mean, like, this guy 100% murdered my uncle, and my family that's in New York pays to feed that guy, pays to house that guy. How was that justice? My uncle's been dead in the ground over 30 years now. And that guy's gets to eat, gets to live, gets to see his family, gets to have visitors, gets to watch TV. How is that justice? It's not justice. It's not at all. That guy should have been dead in the ground as soon as he was convicted, along with my uncle, sentenced to eternity.
So this is the building location right here.
Yeah.
Where the shooter was, and then this right here is the area, the courtyard where he was speaking.
Another wonderful secret. Are you saying that Democrats are horrible shots? Is that what you're saying? Democrats can't shoot a firearm?
Well, apparently they get a lot of practice in Chicago, so that's where you need to go if you're gonna,
And New York.
Yeah.
And law enforcement. I mean, especially CIA and FBI. Ain't a whole lot of Republicans in CIA.
That's right. So
I ain't in the mood for trolls today, man. Let me tell you, I ain't in the mood. Say something.
Yeah, this is, that's just a partisan viewpoint. I mean, come on, there are people on the left and the right who are trained with weapons, and
it's a stupid argument.
Well, it doesn't fit the narrative. That argument fits the narrative of let's take all the guns away from people. So that's why it says only Republicans can shoot. That's why. I don't know. I
mean, if you go back to the Murrah building bombing, those guys were right wingers.
Yeah.
You can find violence on the right
and on the left,
but over the past 10 years or so, it does seem like I mean, you remember the softball game from the guys in Congress?
Yeah, when they went out, Scalise, was it?
Yeah.
That got shot?
Scalise.
Yeah.
And I think
understand they went after Kavanaugh. There's been
any Republican out there. There was a Democrat out there with a firearm going after all of them.
Yeah, remind me, Brandon the Zealot, you were watching that with Razor Fist. He rattled off, I had forgotten, he rattled off something like 14 in the last 15 years that have been attacked. It was, he was one after the other, after the other, after the other. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, Rand Paul was at that softball.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was shot at too.
And then he was also nearly assaulted one night as he and his wife were crossing the street in D.C. And that was around that same time period where there was a lot of animosity against Trump. And Rand Paul's not even really a Trump guy. He's more of a libertarian.
Not at all.
But he is a registered Republican. So, I remember when a lot of that stuff was going on. And then the threats, of course, after Roe v. Wade was overturned, there were threats on judges and stuff. But I don't think it's a matter of right wingers are better with guns than left wingers. I think that's a little bit silly. That what you have to do is go by the person's history, and it's too early for us to know anything about. Well, we don't even know who the guy is.
Right. It's not something you stereotype. Everybody's able to do. Everybody needs to be judged on an individual basis. You don't stereotype people the way they use guns. It's just not.
I'd be a lot more accepting of the theory that this is like the Vegas shooting. This is almost apolitical and just causes chaos.
Right.
That if somebody presented that as their thought, opinion, theory, I'd be like, I'd buy that for $1.
Right.
Because
how much do you know about the Vegas shooter though?
We don't. For them
that just went away, didn't it?
Yeah, for that. Yeah. Oh man, let me tell you. I played Vegas a few months after that shooting, and our driver, he drove us right by where it happened, man.
Oh yeah.
He was like, man, this town ain't the same, man. It's not the same. That was a massacre, and they just literally swept it right under the rug.
Yeah,
right under the rug.
Right under the rug. 56 people or something like that got killed.
Something ridiculous.
And not to mention the wounded. And it was like one of the largest people shot in public. And
as long as we're engaging in conspiracy theories, that was at a country music concert.
Yeah.
So what do you think the ideology was of most of the people there?
The guy was in a hotel that was not at the concert. He was across the way shooting into the country music concert.
Right. But what I'm saying is the people he was targeting were from a certain demographic that probably was Republican leaning.
Mm-hmm. I guess you could say that, but I don't think it was it because apparently, from what I understand,
I'm just saying if I was a conspiracy theorist, that's probably, or if I was trying to blame it on a certain ideology.
And people did for the first few days, but it quickly. That was why it went away, because people started asking questions and they got past all that. They're like, no, because the country music artists weren't like super. It wasn't like a pro-America trial. It was just like your beer trucking girlfriend country. Like it had nothing to do. Like it wasn't a pro-America thing.
Right.
It was just like a music festival, just like October 7th, actually.
Pretty much.
Well,
absolutely.
I'll give you. Well, I think
that's very accurate.
I think there's exceptions to the rule, though. I think if it's somebody like a Mao, like a Hitler, I didn't necessarily celebrate when Kim Jong-il died, but I wasn't very sad that day. All the evil that man's perpetrated on his people. So I would say I 99.9% agree with you.
When I heard about bin Laden being, I was going to say captured, but no, he wasn't captured. He was killed. I high-fived a couple of people.
I didn't really believe it, to be honest with you. I didn't believe that's when he actually died. So that's why I wasn't excited. I was like, I think this guy's either been dead for a really long time, or he may not even be dead yet. It's like when they said they killed Saddam Hussein. I'm like, did they really? Did that happen when they said it did?
I don't celebrate anybody's death, whether they're an enemy or not. I know that in the Bible, when they crossed over the Red Sea, and the sea closed in on the Egyptians, and then the children of Israel celebrated when they seen the Egyptians, their captors, and they saw Pharaoh. And they celebrated then.
They celebrated the Lord destroying the armies of Egypt and Pharaoh, and the horse and the rider fell into the sea.
Right, but it's still a sad state. Whenever a sinner dies, it's sad because you're dealing with an eternal life and eternity and all that stuff. Whether they're your enemy or not, I mean, it's horrible. So,
how old are you coming from? Is that you, Rod?
Yeah, I didn't mean to double post there. Flame was saying I'm too young, and I was just going to let you guys talk while I texted with Flame. But one of the things that I mentioned when I approached Marcus and Gabe about tonight was that there's a lot of younger people out there that've never been through anything like this. They've never been through a political assassination before. And like I said,
you've seen more than a few.
Yeah, JFK, Martin Luther King. We've lived through all that stuff.
Marcus is old enough to remember too. I remember the day that Dr. King was assassinated. It was a Thursday afternoon, and I was 11 years old. My mom was driving my sister to church for choir rehearsal, and the radio was on, and the guy comes on and says, "Somebody shot Dr. King," and my mother said, "Oh no." I mean, Mom's reaction was, and not just that it's sad that the guy died, but Mom's like, we're gonna have riots.
Something's gonna pop off. Yeah,
which we did. There were a lot of riots following Dr. King's assassination.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I haven't heard anything on the news of people rioting and conservatives rioting and destroying stuff. You guys have we missed that? Anybody in the comments? Is anybody seeing about conservatives, Republicans going out in the streets and marching and tearing stuff down and looting and robbing and committing violence?
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen.
It ain't gonna happen. That's the point. That's what I'm. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I've seen Republicans get upset a couple of times. One time was during the 2000 election in Florida when they wouldn't allow the Republicans in to observe the recount. These guys were banging on the door saying, "Let us in." Suits and ties. Suits and ties. And they're banging on the door. Let us in. I thought, no, that's how Republicans protest, suit and tie. And then, of course, there was November 6th when they were trying to halt the vote count, the certification there in Washington. But yeah, you're right. By and large, it's people on the left who protest.
I mean, they didn't do. There wasn't even any kind of march after Trump was shot.
Right.
And he said, "Fight, fight, fight." And did anybody go out there and fight? No, they went to the ballot box.
I couldn't get the time off of work, so.
Well, yeah, that's because conservatives are trying to conserve their. We got jobs, man. We don't get paid to protest.
No.
Marcus, do you remember when Trump came to Tulsa?
I do.
And we talked about going down to the BOK Center.
Yeah, that's a whole story there.
Bank of Oklahoma BOK Center, and apparently there were people outside that were scaring. I don't remember what happened.
Shall we go down memory lane and tell the story? Trump came to Tulsa, which is where we live, for a rally, and we were excited we were going to go to it. And for those who don't know, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I work for an airline. And we had a lot of people fly in, what was normally a quiet time, and we unloaded the stuff, and all of their protest stuff was there too. So people flew in the protest. I was there, and I unloaded their stuff, and I had to load it up again. And we didn't go to the rally because of our mayor at the time. He ran a circus. We call him P.T. Barnum and Bailey Circus, right? What's our mayor's name, Rod? P.T. Barnum?
It's Bynum, isn't it?
Bynum, yeah. Well, we call him Barnum and Bailey Circus because he's just kind of like a clown. But anyway, he positioned the people for protest right in front of the entrance to the Trump rally. And so not a lot of people went to this Trump rally. It was one of the rallies that Trump had where he had a lower turnout. And the reason for the lower turnout is because Barnum was not a Trump supporter. He didn't like the guy. He showed up at the airport, though, and there was one of those big C-14, I don't know what kind of planes they are, the big military planes that landed, and the Air Force One landed. It was kind of cool to go out and see all of that, especially having access to the airport and areas where you can go because you work there. But they took him down there, and we were going to go. But it was all blocked, and it was violent. And so they broadcast the rally on the local media. So it was on the local channels here. So Janet, my wife, got next to the TV, and I took a picture of her when Trump was talking. And then I told people, because everybody was asking me that lives outside the state, if we went to the rally. And I said, yeah, Janet got her picture taken with Trump, and I sent him that picture of Janet standing next to the TV next to Donald Trump. No, we didn't go to the rally. We wanted to go, but I weighed the cost. Do I want to engage these people? Is there going to be a fight? What's going to be the damage? And I decided I'm not going to go to that. Not that I'm a coward or anything, but I just, I didn't need that kind of conflict. And plus I had to get up and go to work the next day. So I didn't want to have anything to do with it.
There he is, G.T. Bynum.
There he is, yeah.
Born in 1977.
Yeah.
I didn't like this guy.
Yeah, we didn't like.
He's a Republican.
He's a Republican, but he's not conservative. He was
always wear your masks, do the social distancing,
yeah,
shut everything down. This is Oklahoma, man.
Oklahoma didn't shut down during COVID, but Tulsa shut down because of this guy. This guy shut down Tulsa, even though the rest of the state stayed open. So, yeah.
That's pull that comment up by Kimball. I remember, you said that Dr. Martin Luther King was shot on, you said, a Thursday. Kimball just said, remember 9/11 happened on a Tuesday. Hold up. My buddy's texting me. My brother's texting me. I told my wife, I said, this kind of feels like that. Like I think I'm going to remember this in this way for a very long time.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was just like, it's just kind of like it's so shocking. Well, that's exactly what I told her. Because I told her, I said, don't go looking for that. Don't watch that video. Because I remember when my father called me, I was in a church parsonage in Locust, North Carolina, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm in the house in the parsonage, about to go to the church office. He said, "Turn on the TV right now." And that was before the second plane had hit. And I'm watching people jump from the buildings. You're just like, is this real? I thought violence like this only happens in movies and it's fake. It's like it's all Hollywood special effects.
Right.
And like watching that man get shot, I was like, we don't see that. We're not the sad thing is we're accustomed to seeing violence, but we know it's fake, so it's easier to ingest because we know subconsciously it's not real, even though they try to make it look as real as possible.
Right.
But watching that today, it's like that's kind of like, what are they? They don't call them Keystone memories. What do they call them? It's from that movie, that Pixar movie. They call them some kind of memories. Somebody in the comments will help me. That's Phil, my boy Phil Hall. That's my brother just called me. Dude, Phil, I'm gonna call you later tonight, man. If you're gonna be up late, because we gotta talk, man. This is a mess.
Yeah.
Core memory, 100%. Thank you, Flamin' Mama Shaw. This is very much,
just like when I was a kid, everybody remembered where they were when Kennedy was shot.
Yeah.
I bet.
And everybody remembers what they were doing when they heard about 9/11.
Right.
With a lot of people, that's what this is going to be, because
Mm-hmm.
we haven't had, like I said, biggest political assassination in this country since the 60s.
Right.
And a lot of people never seen. I mean, Trump was shot in the ear, but he survived. 2 attempts on Gerald Ford, but they missed both times.
Mm-hmm.
Reagan was shot but survived. And between Reagan and Trump, we didn't have a shooting for a political figure that I can remember.
Mm-mm. It's been civil. It's been discussion. It's been talk. It was Saturday Night Live making fun of George W. Bush and Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. But, when Obama came in, it's like, oh, we can't make fun of the left anymore. And then it just became a one-sided thing.
You remember the buckwheat skit?
Oh, yeah. Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
Buckwheat's been shot. How did it happen? Let's take a look. And they kept playing it over and over and over. And this is back in the 80s, shortly after Reagan was shot. And they kept playing the video over and over and over and over of Reagan being shot. So Saturday Night Live did a skit about buckwheat, played by Eddie Murphy. And buckwheat's been shot.
I tell you what, man, I'm very curious as to what I was curious is if Matt Park and Trey Stone from South Park were going to make a statement, because they featured him. They made fun of him on their their first big episode after signing their huge deal with Paramount. And Charlie rolled with the punches. He changed his picture to Cartman, dressed like him, with his hair like him. And there was some people that were like, "This is your fault. You fomented this." I'm like, man, look. There's honestly they're doing kind of worse things. I'd say they're kind of on the brink of blasphemy with how they're portraying Jesus in this season.
Oh yeah,
and I know they're trying to make a point. I haven't watched the episodes. I've only seen a couple clips, but typically, even when they involve Jesus and the devil, they actually make a good point. They're actually trying to tell you something, but most people can't get. Yes, I remember Challenger too, man. That's a core memory for me. That's a core memory. That was like. Yeah, that's like they brought the TVs in on on the roller into class. So I'm very curious if they're going to walk back or if they're going to incorporate this into this season, because they're brash, they're foul, but they almost always make a really good point that make you think. Even if you don't agree with the point that they make, they always typically present both sides pretty well, and they go after everybody. They go after the left, they go after the right. They've gone on after every religion. They got a lot of heat going after Islam because they spent a whole season going after Islam. In Comedy Central, what's the word when they block stuff? They censored it. They censored the episode because they wanted to show Muhammad because of the what was the Charlie? It was another Charlie, the guy that was the cartoonist that was killed in France for making the Muhammad cartoons.
I don't remember. I know who you're
Marcus,
talking
help me
about.
out. You remember?
I remember the
Charlie
cartoonist.
Hebdo or something like that. But
I don't remember his name.
But
I'm old. I don't remember anybody's name. So.
Oh, that's not true. You got a good memory. But they wanted to add a solid. Yep, it was Charlie Hebdo. Bam. See, praise
Hebdo.
Jennifer JD. Thanks for having my memory. No God of War. Hold up. What do you mean no God of War? I missed it. I must have missed a comment.
Yeah.
But they've gone after everybody. So I wonder if they're gonna take this and incorporate it into the season. It's gonna be interesting because I'm positive those guys are sitting there thinking. I'm sure after he was shot, they're like, "Holy crap! Did we do this?"
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it'd be only natural, and and they might even they may feel that way the rest of their lives. Like, did we have a hand in fomenting this? I honestly don't think they really. I really don't think they did, and obviously
I don't think they did either.
But because it happened, if it was me, I would have a hard time. If they're introspective as much as I think they are, as good of writers as they are, I think they're gonna. I think it might make some for some, hopefully some good art and good discussion. Yeah, exactly. No, they haven't caught him, Mom.
That's Gabriel's mother. Yeah, I'm getting conflicting reports because right before I started the live stream, they were indicating that they had the guy. So,
well, they had a suspect, but apparently it wasn't him, and they let him go.
Yep.
So
no, this was somebody besides the first guy.
Okay.
They apparently had some guy that was in black, dressed in black. The first guy was this older guy, like baby boomer.
Right.
Let's see. Oh. Wallace was shot in the 70s, but he survived. Yeah, he ended up
I remember Wallace
in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Governor George Wallace. Segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever.
Forever. Yep, I remember that.
Boom. Okay, that's the end of your political career.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because for those of you who don't know, George Wallace ran on a segregation platform back in '68, and he won 5 states.
Yeah.
Wasn't that one of those guys that Biden supported back then?
Yeah, part of the Dixiecrats. Yeah.
I don't know about that. I know that was, well, who was Strom Thurmond was the Dixiecrat guy. Right?
Yeah. There's a bunch of Democrats that were. So
yeah, but the country changed a lot, because like Robert, I don't remember his name now. Robert Byrd.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was
the Clinton friend.
Yeah, he was in the Klan when he was a young man in his 20s, and then he got into politics, and he disavowed the Klan, and people kept bringing it up, and I thought, he was in his 20s, he was stupid, he joined the Klan, and then he left, and he denounced it. Give him a break,
Mm-hmm.
I don't hold it because a lot of people were in the Klan back in the 40s and 50s. Okay. I mean, in some places you had to be a part of the Klan to get anything done. It's kind of
Yep.
like places up in the Northeast, you had to be affiliated with some
lodge, or a lodge, a
some
union.
mafia.
I think the union mafia, same thing.
Right. Yeah. People don't know how much the country has changed. There's this one channel that tries to link everybody in the Pentecostal world to the Klan and William Branham. And they're always doing
Really?
this stuff.
So, including what's the name of the guy that
That's
started
the channel.
Azusa? The Azusa, that was one of the founding members of Kojic.
Well, they don't
That
go back
guy,
that
the
far.
black
They
guy.
don't go back. They don't go back that far, but they go. Yeah, that's the point that I was making. William Seymour was the guy that he was the head of the Azusa Street Revival, and he was black. But they don't go back that far. They start with all the Pentecostal denominations that started in the teens, in the 20s.
How convenient. You
But
go close to the roots, but you don't go to the root.
it's just ridiculous to try to link everybody together with the Klan.
Yes.
Because they were in the South and they bumped elbows with somebody in the Klan. You couldn't turn around without running into a Klansman back then.
Right.
They were everywhere. And just because they're not everywhere now doesn't mean that it wasn't that way back then. It's the same thing with the mob. You don't see a whole lot of mobsters anymore. Not from Cosa Nostra, the Corleone family or whatever. Because of the RICO laws, they pretty much wiped out those mobs. But 70 years ago, those guys ran a good chunk of the American economy.
Yes, they did.
So
the unions too. They were involved in all the unions.
You got to be old like me to remember. I remember on the news when I turned on the TV and watched the news, and this guy's lying there on the sidewalk. He just got shot coming out of the restaurant. And they said, well, this was not just anybody in the mob.
Was that Crazy Joe?
This was the head of that crime family.
Wasn't that Crazy Joe you're talking about?
Crazy Joe.
Yeah, he was shot on celebrating his birthday at a restaurant, and they shot him in the restaurant. They killed him outside. Is that what you're talking about?
I don't think that's his name. That was his name. This was like the head of one of the biggest crime syndicates.
Yeah, he was a head of one of the families.
Crazy Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard him called anyway, but yeah, that was a hit. It was a mob hit, and somebody else moved into their territory, but that kind of stuff was common back even into the 80s. And until I said the RICO laws were passed, and what's the guy's name? Giuliani.
Mm-hmm.
Giuliani pretty much
he cleaned up that city.
He did.
Yep.
He cleaned up that city, and then they said, just like Churchill with England, like, okay, we're done with you. Go away in the box, and now it's become a cesspool again.
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't learn.
So anyway,
they don't learn.
Ready to vote in a Marxist mayor,
a Marxist Muslim.
To say the country was completely different 60, 70 years ago, and younger people don't know that. They don't realize this was a common thing to see some mobster get hit. It was a common thing to see people from the Klan in politics.
Right.
We don't recognize that as an acceptable thing now, but it was in the past. And it was, I was a kid at the time. It wasn't all that long ago.
No, it wasn't. I mean, but here's the crazy thing, Rod. You have the people that Charlie Kirk was talking to were born after 9/11.
They didn't even live through it.
They didn't even live through it. Like, they didn't see that. They didn't see that on television. They have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, 9/11 is just 2 hours away.
Yep.
And no one's going to be talking about 9/11 now because of this.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I think some people might draw a correlation between the two.
9/11 and Charlie Kirk.
I mean, it's definitely like somebody said much earlier. It's definitely a watershed moment in the country.
That's true. That's true.
From
I
that
agree with that.
standpoint,
But
yeah.
I don't think it's the same thing though, or there's a direct correlation.
Oh no. I'm just saying, like, as far as the effect, I think. I mean, I mean, like that's why I was telling my wife. I was like, dude, it's all everybody. I went by the time I got home, all Twitter, all Instagram, all TikTok, all Facebook. It was all Charlie Kirk. Period. That's all anybody's talking about. I mean,
Oh yeah, everywhere.
everybody.
I just checked. I was just looking through everything: Facebook, all the social media stuff. Every post is Charlie Kirk. Everybody. Yep. This has affected everybody. I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be, but I can tell you this. And I said this earlier. This has not caught God off guard, and I don't know how God is going to use this or how the Holy Spirit's going to move through this, but something definitely is going on. Everybody is talking about this. It's on the front page of every news place. It's on the front of their websites. It's on every social media. It's nothing but Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk. That's gives you, number one, an insight to how much of an impact the guy made, number one. And number two, it is a watershed moment. It is a time where there's going to be some change. Some things are going to probably be addressed. But I don't know. I look at stuff like this and I think, man, Jesus is coming. He's going to be soon.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Did you see my message, Rod? In the private chat?
Sorry. Let's see.
I'll have to check out Troy Brewer's attack. I was thinking about texting Paul Wilbur, but because I'm sure he's. I mean, we're all upset, man. This is a mess.
Yeah, I'll trust you.
Okay. It's gonna be once again a bunch of guitar players and me. We're bringing on another guitar player.
We need to get together. I know how to play bass, so we'll be all guitar players.
Apparently I need to learn how to play guitar.
I can also play the stereo and the television. So
I'm waiting to see somebody pop into the green room here.
Yeah, he might be. He's got a couple cameras like me. Yep, that's exactly who it was. See, Kimball and Unifield are on it tonight, man. Crazy Joe Gallo. That was the one that he was shot, and he was shot right outside a restaurant. But he caught most of the bullets inside the restaurant. Well, I hope so, Flame, but I'll tell you the sad truth. If you go and look on TikTok and you go and look on Twitter, there are people celebrating this. There are people shouting this. There are people calling him all sorts of horrible names.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is how are you? I don't know how you move forward because these people have been so brainwashed. There's no what in the world? You doing a disco dance over here?
I don't know. I'm getting seasick.
I'm sorry. I got a new computer and I had to move my
new computer
over
beautiful.
A little bit, and I accidentally stuck my hand on the enter key, and I didn't know that it would do that. But yeah, we were at a little disco. What do you call that? Flashing disco lights.
Disco
lights.
ball.
Strobe. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, he's coming.
Okay. Well, Castellano was assassinated. That's who it was. That's who I was thinking.
Oh, that's who you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, and Gotti took over as the head of that Gambino crime. Thank you, Kimball. Yes, that's what because I was thinking it was back in the Reagan era.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Crazy Joe was shot before then. I think Crazy Joe was shot like 81 or 82, or it might have been in the late 70s.
Yeah, I wasn't following the news so much in the 70s.
I mean, I was 5 years old, so I was watching Return of the Jedi. So
yeah, it was. I became politically conscious when Reagan ran in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you in 80?
I was 23, and I could not stand Jimmy Carter.
Mhm.
I'll just be honest with you. He's a
Man.
nice guy, I guess.
Well,
I didn't
you
like
know
him
what?
either.
I got a video I need to send you, man. I thought the same thing because that's what you hear a lot of people foment, but apparently that's like a myth, man.
What's the myth?
That he was like this nice humanitarian man.
Oh yeah.
I don't, not so much. I think, well, or maybe that's just a part of who he was or how
Maybe
he
because
tried
the
to portray
habitat
himself.
for humanity, when building houses for people or something. I don't know, but he didn't do a very good job as president.
Habitat for Humanity was about as effective as the Clinton, foundation that built
Right.
the houses in Haiti.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but yeah.
Then I mean, like, for the money they bring in, they don't build anywhere near, like, it's a mess.
Yeah, it's not Clinton Foundation mess, but it's a mess.
Yeah, it's not much better, but it's not as bad.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that. I'll give you
I
that.
was a Ronnie Reagan guy. When he ran in 1980, he said, of course, he used to be a FDR Democrat,
Yep.
and he believed in the New Deal. He
Mhm.
believed in government programs to get the country back on track, And by the 1960s, he was convinced that government wasn't the answer, government was the problem.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he switched parties.
He
And
lived
then
through it. Yes. Have you
somebody
seen
asked him
the
one
Reagan
time,
movie played by the new?
Josh,
No, the Reagan movie that just came out not too long ago. Who was in that? Dennis
oh,
Quaid.
Was it Dennis Quaid?
Not Dennis Quaid. It was
Josh Brolin played Bush, the W. That was a
yeah,
stupid movie.
yeah, no.
But no, I haven't seen
Oh, it
the
was
Reagan movie.
you were right, it was Dennis Quaid.
Was it Dennis Quaid? Yeah. Have you seen it?
Yeah. No, I haven't.
It's
Is
not
it
bad.
good?
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. I enjoyed it actually. They're pretty spot on with history. And so I was fact checking.
That's a rarity.
Yeah, that is a rarity. But it was pretty good actually. So it had the famous meetings with Gorbachev in there and some other things. It was
In
really,
Iceland, Reykjavik,
yeah,
Iceland.
yeah.
Right? He says George Schultz was his was it Secretary of State?
Yeah.
George Schultz and Reagan were at this place in Reykjavik for a summit with Gorbachev, and Gorbachev made all these concessions, and they thought, "Oh, this is great." And then at the end, Gorbachev says, "Of course, all of this is dependent upon you scrapping the
The Star
Strategic
Wars.
Defense
Yeah.
Initiative,
Yeah.
SDI."
Yeah.
And Reagan said, "I already told you we're not going to, that's not negotiable. We're not
Yeah.
getting rid of SDI." And Gorbachev says, "Well, you're not getting all these concessions unless you do." And Reagan said, "You lied to me. you told me you were going to do this, and you didn't." He said, "We already told you that we weren't going to that we weren't going to put that on the table. SDI is not negotiable. We're not scrapping SDI." And so they were getting along great in the meeting until that. And then Gorbachev says, "Well, then we have no deal." And Reagan famously turned to George Shultz and he said, "Get your coat, George. We're out of here."
Mm-hmm.
And stomped out of that meeting. And there's a famous photo of Reagan leaving the meeting with the scowl on his face. He was mad.
Mm-hmm.
But then he cooled off, and they eventually got together and did some arms reduction talks, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing like what they were thinking they were going to get earlier on. But Reagan, stuck to his guns. He wasn't going to give up SDI, which I believe eventually brought the Soviet Union to
Mm-hmm.
collapse
That
because
was the whole idea.
they could not keep up with us economically. They had to spend all this money trying to keep up with us, and they were going broke. So anyway, but you said that was in the movie, right?
It
That
was
scene
in
where
the
he
movie.
stomped out of
Yeah.
there.
That meeting was in the movie. Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
So it was pretty good. So
I'm gonna
I
have to check
enjoyed
that
it.
out.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to do a. Yeah, I just told them in the comments it's a broken computer. That's why all my stuff's messed up because I just had to reset
Okay.
everything.
No. I hate that.
It's been, you know,
All the drivers for all the hardware, all the software apps that make the hardware
this is
work.
actually the nice thing about Apple Time Machine, because everything's exact, unlike PC. You can basically just copy and paste your everything, and it works pretty well. So that it cuts the install time by like 700%, because like what took me 3 weeks to install, I was able to install today in an hour.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I mean minus.
Kimball,
I know a congregation that's connected to him. They have him as a speaker in California. So
really?
I don't know if we could get him, but
bring him on your channel. You got over 100,000 subscribers. He'd probably
congratulations.
be more inclined to go on your channel than me.
I don't know, man. You know, he's Phil said he's in the thing. I don't know, man. You know, he's recently saved, but you know, he's still want mighty little bread, you know, to come on and talk. You know what I'm saying?
Good evening, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Hey, Phil. How are you?
Peace and
Phil had to do it right. He had to get set up, and had his mic is sounding nice and round.
I was traveling, trying to watch this thing, and I'm like, man, I want to get home and at least see what's going on. Been wanting to catch up with you all day, but life keeps moving.
Yes. Yeah. It was. Phil and we played phone tag earlier today, and it was just because I mean, like I had to talk to somebody, you know, and I was glad when Rod called me so I could just release some anger there for a quick minute. He got a little bit of an earful, man. I'm still, man. I mean, tomorrow it's gonna be a new day, man. It's gonna be very, very interesting. I'm interested to, you know, Phil, what's your thoughts on this as a father, as a believer, you know? And Phil actually took me to school on what was the group in the 60s, Phil, in the 60s and 70s, the Weathermen, right?
You remember better than me. I'm not sure. We've shared a lot of great conversations, bro.
Yeah, no, he took me to school on basically like how the communists like infiltrated all these.
That maybe wasn't me. That might have been somebody else. But I'm open to it.
I'm pretty sure it was you. I mean, we have many conversations, but since you're new to the group and a fellow guitar, but you're here with other guitar players, so classical guitarist,
we're
and
in good company.
Great company and strong men of God that challenged me in the faith and doctrine and sharpened me. It's beautiful.
I mean, my initial takeaway was just disbelief to see it. Obviously, I'm guessing that right around the time it occurred, I was made aware of it, and it wasn't not even a half hour before they pronounced that he had passed.
Right.
But clearly, it appears that it was somebody of some experience that was doing the dirty. You know, the enemy will do anything he can to try to silence people that have the heart to stand up and speak the truth. And it's a greater attack than just on one individual. It's an attack on everyone that would dare to stand up and speak against all of the lies and all of the twisting of the truth that has tried to be propagated over, you know, and it accelerated over at least the last decade that I can remember. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys feel this way, but just to go online and speak about anything to do with this, there's trepidation because the idea is, well, you put yourself in the crosshairs to even speak something that people would not agree with. But I mean, it's one of the biggest tools of the enemy is the fear to try to get us to back down and not stand up, not be counted for those that believe the word of God, that believe in protecting our family, believe in protecting our homes, believe in standing up for what's right. So much that I've seen on the way home just was to do with his faith, his being a father, where he stood for his children, things like that. Obviously, people know him in the right of his debating and speaking, which that was hugely known. But you know, just the other side is so many people that seem to have a lack of humanity or care because they disagreed with the position this person took.
Yep.
Right.
There's so much to be said because we've seen so much occur recently. I mean, even what just occurred in Charlotte with this young lady, and not only the act that was done portrayed by the young man that had committed so many violence, but what really kind of struck me was the people that were sitting right by, how they just sat by idly and did nothing to help this person.
Yeah.
The lack of the willingness to stand up to evil.
Right.
Is it's hard to fathom. But once again, not being in the shoes of these people as well, it's easy to from the outside to have an opinion on how this is. But it is definitely disheartening to see that someone could be sitting there literally bleeding out and no one rises to help.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at as a culture, as a society, as human beings, when a violent attacker's there, and it's like the wildebeest watching one of their own be killed, and just they could overpower the lion, but they refuse to do anything.
They just keep going. Yep, they just ignore it.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we're in spiritual warfare. We're seeing evil with no shame at all on full display, willing and feeling entitled to brashly portray its efforts right in front of the eyes of millions. I don't know how many people were there. Had to be thousands,
tens of thousands
when this occurred.
It was a huge crowd,
and clearly it had to be plotted in advance. And
right, it had to be planned.
100%. Yeah. There was no mistake that he just happened to get on that rooftop to have that. I mean, like, it was he was he had direct line of sight.
Right.
No obstructions.
He knew long before Charlie Kirk showed up. He knew the plan was already set.
Had to staked out the position.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, was it coordinated? I'm not sure what happened was it Alabama today? I heard someone else make mention that there was another
Utah.
thing. No,
I'm
aware of this. There was something else that happened earlier in the day.
Colorado.
Was it Colorado the shooting?
There was another thing that happened earlier in the day.
Really?
We need to look into what it is, because I had seen a post where someone mentioned that there was another attack of sorts that happened. I want to say it's in Alabama. I'd have to find it.
I thought it was in Colorado. I thought it was a shooting.
Colorado is where he was at the college, but there was another instance earlier in the day of something.
No, he was in Utah. Charlie Kirk.
I'm not referring to Charlie Kirk. I'm referring to another instance of something else that.
Oh, okay.
So we had Colorado, Alabama, and Charlie Kirk in Utah. I don't have a date on this.
You're saying, Gabe?
I see 21 people shot, 4 dead in Alabama, but it doesn't have the date. It says breaking. It says 11 p.m. No, this is Saturday night, so this wasn't today. 2 days ago. Maybe it was that because I didn't hear anything about that shooting on Saturday, and that's a pretty big shooting.
Well, I'll definitely look into it, try to get more information on it.
Is that little man?
No.
Oh.
No.
Let's see.
There's shooting. 3 teenagers remain in critical condition after Colorado high school shooting incident. Today's the 10th, right? Yeah, that's today. 6:46 p.m.
Let's see what I can find on it too. It
was about 4 shootings in Chicago, but that's just a regular day in Chicago, unfortunately.
Usual day.
It's just another Tuesday and
Wednesday. This is at a school. Three kids, I guess.
So it's a school shooting.
I'll see if I can find what I'm referencing to share it briefly. But
okay,
I'm curious what you guys' take is on what y'all saw. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But then again, not shocking, because we know how much vitriol there is and how much hatred there is in the climate today, and how accepted it is, how much commonplace we've given to such polarizing positions.
Well, and there's never justice done. That's why it just continues to persist, because there's no repercussions, there's no punishment. So why wouldn't somebody just keep on doing this?
Right.
You're gonna say, Rod?
One of the guys who was talking to the media was going on about how this is not tolerable in our society, and we value freedom of speech, and this kind of thing can't happen. This is not who we are. And I'm thinking, we hear that all the time, but it is who we are. We're a country where people get shot. We have guns, and we've had assassinations, going back to McKinley and Lincoln. And so, yeah, it's idealistically, we shouldn't have any of those things happen, but the world that we live in, people will do it if they're allowed to. And instead of just saying, hey, all you wonderful people who value life, don't shoot people because, well, of course, reasonable people aren't going to do this. Okay.
Mhm.
And you can't reason with unreasonable people. So what you do is implement changes into the system so that they can't do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
if you can't secure an outdoor venue, then don't have any more outdoor venues, move them indoors. And this
Right.
is getting back to the whole discussion that Gabriel and I had. They started doing it outdoors because the colleges wouldn't let them indoors.
Mhm.
They threatened to arrest Ben Shapiro if he walked into the venue where he was scheduled to speak. So we're going to have to pressure these universities. Hey, we tried, you know, we tried to accommodate you and do it outdoors, and you see what happened. All right, open your doors for free speech.
Mhm.
We're gonna have to start pressuring these institutions to live up to our values and allow freedom of speech, because we can't do it outdoors. I mean, you can't do it indoors. You do it outdoors, you get shot. Okay, so either that or just start fining them. I don't know. I don't know what the law is regarding that. I'm not a constitutional lawyer or anything, but it
Well,
seems to me like if
Take away their federal funding.
okay, if we're going to follow those patterns, you're going to take away the federal funding, and then Biden-appointed
there you go.
judges are going to reinstate the funding, so that's not really going to do anything either. So I don't know. How do you change the hearts of these people? That's, I think, the key issue.
I mean, the bigger reality of it just being spiritual warfare is the
Yeah.
thing that the media never touches.
Yeah.
They
Well,
never touch on it, because the minute we start to deal with the condition of the heart of man and everything that influences that, then we
Right.
start to unravel.
Well, they don't believe in
where
evil.
The essence of it is.
Well, they don't believe in they don't know anything about it. They don't know anything about the heart. They know about indoctrination, and that's it. And that's all they do.
They know reading a script. I mean, like that was like the guy that owned what's his face, Don Lemonhead, the other day. He was doing an on the street thing, and the guy just walked up. He's like, "Yeah, I know you're a stinking idiot," and he didn't use stinking.
Yeah.
And he said, "You're an idiot." He's like, "You don't even know anything about me. I know everything about you. I seen 1,000-year cliffs, man. You're a stinking idiot." He owned the guy twice hard inside of 30 seconds, man.
That's funny.
Don Lemon used to be much more moderate.
He used to be pull yourself up by your bootstraps and work and earn it, and don't cry racism every 5 seconds. You
Right.
you go out there, you can. He's sitting there talking across the table from Morgan Freeman, saying, "That's why you're here. That's why I'm here." And then now all of a sudden it's racism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we've seen this playbook used many times. There's nothing new to this, but until we get to the core of what we're really talking about and the different masks that the enemy tries to put on to subvert and ultimately get us into our flesh. It just puts humanity on a different plane until we can really deal with the fact of what the root cause of what it all is. It's evil. It's demonic.
It's evil. Yes, lawlessness.
It's the work of the enemy. It's the mystery of iniquity at work.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, as long as we can talk about all these other symptoms of it, then we'll never deal with the cause of it and the root cause of it. And sadly, so many churches do not equip the saints and prepare them of the warfare that they're in, of the war that there is, the spiritual warfare, the tools that the enemy is using, because all of this stuff, even what Charlie Kirk was dealing with, was exposing the lies of the enemy. Therefore, the hatred and the vitriol, because it's demonic. We don't wrestle with flesh and blood. We wrestle against spiritual principalities. And so what we're talking about is spiritual warfare.
Right.
It may come in the form of guns. It may come in the form of disease. It may come in the form of all of this twisting of truth and deceiving our youth into believing that the natural order of things is not the natural order of things, destroying homes, destroying families, whatever it is. But ultimately, it comes down to good and evil at the end of the day.
Yeah. We see the outward manifestations of it and try to fix that. And not the things, the root cause of things. We like to put Band-Aids on stuff.
And the media doesn't touch it. The media profits and exists because of this stuff, but they're also complicit in it as well because they serve and
they're the modern day false prophets, man. Project Mockingbird.
They're complicit because of ratings. That's another thing.
Well, they're owned. They're owned by the same
wire,
institutions.
Who controls the wire that they're saying
Right.
fresh off the press? Who controls that? Who's writing the manuscripts?
Exactly.
These are faces we never see, but
Right.
ultimately to see behind the mess, and ultimately have to shut so much of it off to actually begin to hear some of the truth. And then when you turn it back on, you begin to see what a mechanism it is to keep people stuck in a reactive state instead of coming out from under it, because it literally is black magic. It's witchcraft. It's controlling of the mind.
Right.
It is the program to cause us to come wherever two or more in agreement. So it is established. So when the weatherman or the news says X, Y, and Z for the day, and my mind comes into an agreement with it, then therefore it is established in the earthly realm, because the enemy understands the word of God better than most of the saints do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And using the principles that exist as weapons against us, because we don't recognize how easily we come into an agreement. When we say, well, they said X, who is they? And when we come into agreement with it so much, we need to come together as men and women of God and cancel the negative reports of the enemies and establish the word of God over and over again to continue, because they're working 24/7 to try to twist the truth and establish a new order into place.
Right.
And sadly, those that are easily manipulated come into agreement with it, and even their own power is usurped in a vampiric manner to establish the kingdoms of darkness that we're seeing manifest now in present day.
Yep.
Hang on. I've been on here for 2 hours. I'm going to go use the restroom. I'll be right back. I got to bring another reason to use the restroom later. So
They have old bladders.
I'm trying to find the YouTube link so I can actually see some of the stream in real time apart from this. Gabe, can you send me that link again?
Yeah, I got you. Because I have it. For some odd reason, every time I'm on with Rod, I can't link my channel here in StreamYard. So, Phil, if you look in the private chat, you'll see it there.
Gotcha. Thank you, brother.
I just have it in another window so I can comment and you know.
Yeah. It needed me to come in through a different browser, so it took me a minute. And every time I click, it would go to my default browser. So I had to figure out the old workaround.
Gotcha.
The devil is a lie.
No, it was funny. It was go ahead.
Did you guys see Charlie Kirk in London recently?
No, I did. Did you say that, or somebody else said something about that earlier? Something like he said like a week or two ago, something very recent.
Probably wasn't me. I don't remember talking about it, but he was over there talking to some students in London, and one of them said something about Trump locking up American citizens. And Charlie Kirk, and this is what I really liked about Charlie Kirk, is he had such a good grasp of the facts. And he said, name me one person one American citizen that Trump locked up. And they mentioned this guy from Guatemala or.
Oh yeah, the illegal guy that lives in Maryland man.
Yeah, they mentioned that guy's name, and he says, wrong. He's a citizen of whatever country. And it's like they're just repeating things that they've heard.
Oh yeah,
but they really don't have factual information. And when he corrected them on that, they were like, "Oh, I thought he was an American." Of course, they're in London. They don't know what's going on over here other than what they're told. But if you watch a lot of clips of Charlie Kirk, or they're just like that. People get up and repeat what they've heard, and then he says, "No, that's not exactly true," and then he gives them the facts. And yeah, your mom says she saw that. Yeah, that's what I really liked about Charlie Kirk. Is not just passion, but he had knowledge.
yeah.
He had a grasp of the facts. He read a lot. And this is a guy that didn't go to college.
You ain't got to go to college.
Imagine that.
But he was very smart. He started this when he was 18, and he obviously read a lot. He's read a lot of political journals. He delved into theology and philosophy to where he could converse with educated
Recite
people.
it. Yeah.
When he would get into these discussions with college educated people, he had to be able to talk their language.
Yeah.
So he had to have the equivalency of a college education in order to discuss all these topics from history, geopolitics, economics, all of these things. He had to be well versed in his information that he was delivering to people. And I'm sure there were times when he got things wrong and got corrected, and that didn't make the YouTube video, because you have that when you have as you know, Gabriel and Marcus, when you have your own YouTube channel, you can edit the stuff out that you don't want,
Right.
that makes you look bad. And
I do a
I'm
lot
sure
of editing, by the way.
Was that?
I said I do a lot of editing, by the way.
I'm sure there were times when Charlie Kirk didn't look so good and he left that on the cutting room floor, but still, a lot of what he did was he would show people up that were trying to prove some point, some anti-Trump point, anti-Republican, anti-conservative point,
Anti-Christian,
anti-Christian,
anti-Christian, and he would give them the facts. Like people would say, well, that's Christianity is a white man's religion. And he says, actually, it went into Africa before it went into Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the amount of courage it would take to walk into basically the lion's den and be ready, knowing that people want a gun for you, and the willingness to say, I mean, the preparation, as you said, but also he had a dependence on the Holy Spirit.
Yes, he had to be Holy Spirit led.
Because
absolutely.
Take no account of what you'll say in that hour, for the Holy Spirit shall speak through you. And clearly, in many times, even through his own error and his own fault, it showed his own humanity, but a level of love and commitment to walk out there and try to minister on some level to meet the needs and questions of these people and answer them openly and have a debate. It takes a huge amount of, let alone just the impetus to say, I think I'm going to go do this. And then to say, how much preparation does it take, or just the courage to say, I start tomorrow, I'm going to go out and I'm going to walk out here and just talk to the masses and sit down and I mean, whether people agreed with it or not, the amount of courage it takes so much today is hidden away, and people are unwilling to confront it, and they're looking for other people to do the work of what the kingdom needs to happen. But it is going to take the ability to stand up and reason. However, to sit in many cases and spend a lot of time kind of confronting the lies that exist also one could argue is a fool's errand as well. But ultimately, you have to confront the lies with truth. But of course, so many people this day have no idea what truth is. They all say, live your own truth, or whatever that is.
No such thing.
It's become
now
subjective.
It's all relative for people.
Yeah.
Whatever they want.
Truth is more than an opposing point of view. That's.
Well, it's, I don't know if Rod could tell me if it's okay to speak to some of the comments I see, but if there's people in here saying about what the idea of Christian nationalism is, but whether or not people agree with that idea or not, Jesus is either the Lord of your life or he's not. Right. And if he's Lord of your life, then the principles of Christ are how you want your home run. The ideas of how you see are the benefit for society. If you know that it brings life and life abundantly, then the idea is, why would there be any other governing law than that which brings pure life? And where the spirit of the letter is, and where the Bible is, and the word of God is sown, there is no need for external order, because the Holy Spirit does all the governing to begin with.
Right.
So to sit and say that, I mean, it supersedes any earthly establishment. So to sit and say Christian nationalism, what does that even mean? It either is truth or it is not truth. It's as simple as that. But people would sit and say, well, you believe what you believe in, this and that. But at some point, we're all going to have to take account for what we've saddled our lives up to in some way. But in the sense of all of us at some point came to the most of us that have come to follow the Lord tried every path there was that the world had to offer, and ultimately realized that everything else was a fool's errand.
It was.
And it was chasing fool's gold. And then you finally surrender to the work of the Holy Spirit, and you realize there is no other life other than that life. So,
everything else is vanity and vexation of the spirit. Solomon was right. So,
If by Christian nationalism you mean that the Republican Party is the Christian Party and the Democrat Party is the Antichrist Party,
no,
nope.
No.
That's
wrong.
kind of kind of an oversimplification of it,
Yeah.
or if you believe that that the Republican platform is all biblical and
Nope.
it's. I have a problem with Christian nationalism when people can't make a distinction between the church and the nation.
Right.
Like if somebody says, well, God has made a covenant with the United States. Where do we read that?
Right.
That we have any
When did that happen?
That timing was perfect.
Yeah.
That there's two covenants. I mean, two people groups that God made a covenant with in the Bible.
Right.
And that's Israel and the church.
Yeah.
Okay, and the church is in the United States. They're two different things.
Oh, get this clown out of here! Please get this clown out of here.
I'm all for voting for Christian values and voting for people who represent your values. I'm all for Christians voting and being involved in the process. But I don't like the way that some people try to conflate, I should say, the Bible and the Constitution. They're two separate things. Thank you, Susan, for the super chat. So he helped elect our nation who was out on bail. Okay, yeah. Everybody knows that those political charges are that those criminal charges were politically motivated.
Yeah, and dropped immediately after he, got office. So what a clown.
I mean, I remember when Trump entered the national scene back in the 80s. He was a real estate tycoon, and he got into the entertainment business and beauty pageants, boxing matches, and stuff like that. Never got charged with any crime.
Nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
and then he decides
won an NAACP award. Sponsored Jesse Jackson's presidential run.
Let's just talk about Russia, okay? Russia.
Look
at all the stuff that just came out on that. I mean, come on.
Even totally as president, he was not charged with a crime, and as an ex-president, he wasn't charged until he announced he was going to run again.
And everybody came out of the
that's when they said, we got to stop this guy. And so it was only in those districts where they were heavily blue that decided to either have a litigation or a prosecution of Donald Trump so that they could say he's a convicted felon. And the country just said, I don't, nobody cared. Outside of those districts and outside of their echo chamber, nobody cared.
And now it seems that all those cases have fallen apart. Anybody who's kept up with that stuff knows Letitia James is in hot water. All these guys that went after Trump are in hot water. Look at Georgia and the RICO case that was down there. Yep. All of that stuff was not only bogus, but all the people who brought those charges are now themselves in trouble with the law.
It's being exposed.
It's being exposed, and they're going to be prosecuted. So election interference. This is why he won in the first place, is because it's not that everybody was a Trump supporter, but people were driven to Trump because of what the left was doing. So if you want to blame anybody for Donald Trump to be empowered, Democrats, blame yourself. It's your fault he got elected.
He was a Democrat. Joe Rogan was a Democrat.
Right.
What's her face? The head of the. His whole cabinet. RFK.
Elon Musk.
Right.
Well, the name of the lady from Hawaii.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard. These are all Democrats.
Yeah, they blacklisted Tulsi. Anybody who was moderate got shoved out of the party. And my sister, who hates Trump, asked me why I'm voting for Trump. And I'm not a Trump fan or a Trump supporter, but I looked to see who the Democrats had for me to vote for. And I said, no, I'm choosing this guy. Not because I like this guy, because I don't want him.
Once again, it was South Park did it perfectly. It was a choice between a giant douche or a turd sandwich.
Hey, death by hanging or death by firing squad. Make your choice.
Pretty much. Quick 66. See, this is reasonable. You cannot like his politics and be like, and say exactly the worst person is the murderer, not Charlie. We agree.
We agree. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And I didn't even vote for Trump in 2016. I never liked Trump. I grew up in Texas. Trump to me was just this loudmouth, brash New Yorker. We don't like New Yorkers in Texas, you know. I never was a Trump fan. Never watched The Apprentice. I just always thought that the guy was just full of himself. But after watching
That's
4
true.
years of President Trump be put through the ringer the way that he
Right.
was, I said, "Ooh," I've told Gabriel, I didn't even believe in the deep state until Trump became president.
Yeah.
Right. And you saw it in action.
Well, you're talking about a guy that came from even dabbling in professional wrestling, and he exposed it for what it was. It was professional wrestling.
Mhm.
It was people that were in bed together pretending that, you guys run it for this year, but they all had their hands in the pot, and he's exposed it for what it is now, and they hate him for exposing it for what it is. That both sides are a sham in many cases and have totally robbed the American public of the power and control via the media and everything else.
Bingo.
But if you try to tell people that, most people have, Stockholm syndrome to the media. They cannot be snapped out from under the spell to say, wake up and think for yourself, do a little
Right.
bit of homework, stop repeating what the media tells you just because they say it. If it's so true, why do you have to repeat it 5,000 times? But people are lazy and people want to be spoon-fed with it, and then they wonder why they're being treated as
Right.
infants when they carry themselves mentally as infants, the ability to analyze and say, is there an agenda behind these stories? Is there a method to this? Is there an end game? People can't see it. They're not willing to look behind it. So someone like Trump comes along, he's a bull in a china shop, shakes up the status quo, whether people believe, agree with it or not. People were sick and tired of the same stuff over and over again. And now we find out that we've been getting the shaft forever and ever as a nation. And probably it happens to all across, but it's exposed so much
USAID.
of the puppetry behind it all and how they all work in tandem to railroad the masses.
Yeah.
That we're here because of Charlie Kirk, and we're talking about Trump, but the fact is nobody would know who Charlie Kirk was
If it wasn't for
if
Trump.
it hadn't been for Donald Trump. Because
Well, no one would know who Trump was if it hadn't been for Charlie Kirk. That works both ways, actually. I think Charlie Trump's election, in large part, was due to the work of Turning Point USA and how they canvassed an area and got people registered. I don't think Charlie Kirk was shot for his views. I think he was shot for his actions.
Yes.
Because here's a guy that would have people on the ground getting people registered to vote. And
grassroots, man.
Turning Point would go into these states and they'd get people registered and beyond the scope of things. And he reached out to young people and got them in such a way where the Democrats are still jealous of that today. So, this looks like a professional hit. Because I don't think it was because they're offended by what he had to say. I think it's because of what he was doing.
Yeah. Shut down the results.
Yeah.
Well, but another question is it a greater message? Is it a greater message to the just the conservative movement in general? And is there more to come? Will there be other things? We have to wait and see, but clearly it was an asserted move done in a public place to make a statement.
Right? Yeah. Well, that's what I told them, Phil, and that's what I said when I was able to join. I believe this was a symbol because they killed him in the exact same way that they intended to kill Donald Trump.
Right.
This was a message, and this is the concern, because how do you change if you cannot speak? How can you preach? How can I change your mind and change your heart if I cannot open my mouth without getting my teeth broken?
Right.
Which is a spiritual term. It talks about breaking the teeth in the enemy. I mean, it means you cannot bite. It means you cannot grip anything with your mouth. I mean, there's a lot to that expression. And I'm thinking of the Steven Crowders and the Andrew Wilsons and these guys that go out and they do public debates and they do public speaking. Like Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles. Michael Knowles had a milkshake thrown out him that had urine and Clorox and all sorts of stuff. Now he was like, I think I'm done going out in public where people can access me so easily. And now what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to do like Trump. They're going to have a bulletproof thing in front of them. I mean, and security, and that's money and time and logistics. You know, man, like all the thought you and I put into just going out and playing shows. Now imagine if we had targets on our backs. You imagine the amount of stress just because you're trying to think from every angle of, trying to, cut the criminal off at the pass.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a whole new era, man. Like there was a whole shift. And here's the crazy thing, because I was also comparing this to 9/11. It brought the nation together for a very short amount of time. Churches were flooded for like 6 weeks. And I remember, Kimball, I remember that Tuesday when my father called me and I turned on the television. I had just started to teach the choir the week before, and the Sunday after. So we had the next rehearsal the next day was to learn a song called Lord Have Mercy, written by Lindell Cooley. Lord have mercy, for we have placed all our hopes in thee. It's Kyrie. That was the song we sang Sunday after 9/11. So here's the question. Will it bring believers together? Will it bring conservatives together? Will it bring the nation together? Or is it going to further the divide? This is the question. It's rhetorical because we don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I pray it would bring us together. I pray we have more people like QX Quick 66 or something like that. That said, I didn't agree with him. I actually hated his political opinion, but that's wrong. And that's murder. And that family shouldn't have lost their father. Those children. I mean, dude, he's got like a 3 and a 1-year-old.
Right.
They don't even know their father. They're never going to know who their father is.
No, but they can get on the internet anytime they want and see how their father died.
Yeah,
that's never going away.
Question: what do we know about the assassin so far?
Nothing.
What have they said about it?
They don't even know who the assassin is.
Interesting.
The only thing we know is that they arrested a guy and they thought he was the assassin. They let him go a couple hours later, and then they found video surveillance of somebody on a roof.
I saw that.
Where they think it was the firing point, and that's when it all came into focus that this is Pennsylvania all over again. Butler, Pennsylvania all over again. So the difference is that the lack of security, there was more security in Butler than there was here.
And yet it still was allowed to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm of the mind I would put this on a 3-letter agency because there's lots of super anti-Trump, super anti-Republican, super anti-America. I mean, here's the dead facts, y'all. We have some diehard, straight up demonic, satanic, communist Marxists in places of power in our government. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you had to ask me, put your money on something, I'd say it'd be one of those jokers is one that took that check because that was a professional.
That was professional.
That was no amateur. That was no
one shot from 200 yards away,
right in the neck into the spine,
and gone, gone immediately. You had. I mean, dozens of people filming on their cell phones. Mm-hmm. There's at least 3 or 4 angles that went viral. So that's not including all the other angles of the shooting that took place that we have the footage that I'm sure we'll see for weeks to come.
Right.
But how many people got that Joker on camera and then he just vanishes like stinking Batman?
Well, here's the other thing.
In broad daylight.
Look at the media narrative to it as well. They said when it first happened that he was in critical condition, and they said he was alive for all this time when he was in the hospital. And anybody who watches that video, it'll be apparent to you that Charlie was dead pretty quickly. Immediately after he got. But yet the media narrative has been, oh, he's in critical condition, he's in surgery, doctors are working to, and then about an hour after he was in surgery or whatever, they came out with, he died.
It's like the same thing. It's as though they buy time to establish the narrative and get everyone on the same page.
How are we going to play this?
Roll this out because they're not interested in an informed public. They're interested in maintaining a narrative or inciting more of a scenario.
Right.
But imagine the hysteria and the fear that people have that were at that event to ever go to any event of that nature again. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right. Right.
the psychological impact of that type of stuff, and it just being everywhere on social media instantly. I mean, it's great that we can be informed and we can be in the know. What is, of all the things that we're able to see in this day and age, how much trauma does it really do to the human psyche?
Right. Well, typically when persecution comes up, we have martyrs. Stuff like this goes underground. So you can maybe see a movement of more underground debate, maybe in social media circles, with people with names that hide behind handles. And you'll see debates go on underground, probably. Maybe if martyrdom does increase, you'll see a lot more underground growth. Because I think one of the mistakes that they've made is they made a martyr out of Charlie Kirk. And that's not going to silence him. That's the people who are around him, the people who were inspired by them. That's going to make them, I think.
There's going to be such a proliferation of clips of this man. There already are.
Yeah.
But every little nugget that was spoken, good, bad, or indifferent, people are going to put it out there. Just the only prayer is that, God gave that man life and that his life would not be lost in vain. I mean, there's such a lack of value on human life in our society today and a disregard for humanity. One can only hope that the measure of his life brings God glory and would ultimately bring people to the light of the truth.
Yes.
And that's all we could ever hope, because God gave him life with a purpose.
Yes.
If we're believers, that was the whole point of why he was allowed to be born, to exist. And I saw an interview with him where he had been doing that for a dozen years as a young man out there debating and doing all that. One could say he was a warrior. He was a warrior.
He took no prisoners.
And he fought with words. And wow. But yet, heartbreaking for his family, his children.
That's the hard part, man. That's where it's, if not for the family, it's like you could salute the soldier, but in my understanding is his family was there.
I think it's heartbreaking for everybody.
Yes, I can't.
More so for the family and everything, but he has a lot of followers and fans and people who loved him, and I admire him,
absolutely. And brothers and sisters in Christ.
I see Megyn and Kelly breaking down. I see even Glenn Beck almost in tears. This is heartbreaking for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's going to stick with us a long time.
Oh, I mean, what happens when we can no longer talk to each other?
Yeah.
You're not a nation anymore. We're not a United States.
Right.
We become something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the love for many waxing cold is
go ahead, Rod.
Become a thing.
Go ahead, Rod.
I was going to say we've been going for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And
you got a gas.
I need to get up and move around, and
I can't feel my legs.
Yeah, that's us old man. We have to get up and move around.
I didn't plan on going more than 2 hours, but this has been good. I appreciate all of you joining us, all in the panel and the people in the chat box there. I started off with prayer and encouraging people that don't be discouraged about America because of this. We got through other assassinations when I was young. If you haven't been through this before, just take it from an old guy like me. We're bigger than this. We'll survive just like we survived 9/11. We survived the Challenger explosion, the assassination of Kennedy, World War II,
Robert Kennedy.
I mean, not
Martin Luther.
Pearl Harbor. We got through all of these tragedies in our nation's history, and we'll get through this one. It's very painful. It's a difficult thing to go through, but we'll get through it.
Yeah.
And as Christians, we have to remember that we're not part of this kingdom in this world. We're part of the eternal kingdom. This is just a temporary dwelling place for us here. It's like Gabriel said, we want to be involved in the process. We want to do more than just pray. We want to participate. but at the same time, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities and powers. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Gabriel, would you like to close in prayer and dismiss the group?
Oh, yeah. Wish I had my keyboard set up. So I feel like I need to play out on this one. Heavenly Father, most holy God, we ask for your peace that passes all understanding, for the hearts of those that watch tonight, for the hearts of the brothers and sisters in Christ all over the world that saw this tragedy take place, and for our nation, Lord, that there would be a mournful silence and that people would not be quick to act. We don't understand why you allow these things, Lord. And though we poke fun and sometimes disagree with our Reformed brothers and sisters in Christ, you are sovereign. We agree. We love you. We trust you. Your ways are not our ways. They are higher. We pray for the Kirk family, Lord, for the TP USA family. Comfort them, Holy Spirit. You are the comforter. Touch their hearts. Touch our hearts, Lord. Give us peace. Give us wisdom to see the opportunity that we have right now, Lord, to strike at the heart of the kingdom of darkness, to bring the light of the gospel to this nation, to those that need to hear your words of grace, your words of love, your words of hope, your words of faith. Let our tongues be filled with your words, with your wisdom. Let the meditations of our heart be acceptable in your sight. O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer, be with us, O God. We love you. We trust you. May we honor you with all that we do. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, these things we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Blessings, and we'll see you in the next live stream. Good night.
Peace and blessings,
Good
gentlemen.
night. Please.